Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, live and direct on a Tuesday. We are back from the holiday weekend with 3 hours of sports talk coming your way this afternoon on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream. You can watch our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. You can watch us on Facebook at WIBW News. So good to be with you. Hope you had an outstanding Memorial Day weekend. Enjoyed some relaxation. Maybe didn't have to work on Monday. We didn't. That was nice. Maybe stayed dry. Hopefully you stayed dry. Been a soggy last handful of days in the capital city. But we are delighted to be back with you for the next 3 hours on this Tuesday to recap the sports weekend that was. I am Dan Lucero. Brendan Brzezinski is here. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a little bit. Brendan is back from a little holiday of his own. Brendan,
indeed.
How did you enjoy your weekend?
It was a good time. It was fun to get back home, see my folks, see my good friends all weekend. Talk more about that coming up later on this hour. But no, it was nice to get away for a little bit. My flight did not crash, so I'm doing all right. Thanks, FAA.
Hey,
we're doing good.
Hey, all right. Yeah, you had flying to Newark.
No, thankfully.
Yeah, no layover in Newark on that Chicago to Kansas City. That's
no. My last time I'm ever going to fly Southwest this weekend. If you're not going to at least give me I hate that airline. I already don't like flying Southwest. If you're going to take away the few good things they have, I'm not flying with you anymore.
Yeah, we booked them for our vacation we're taking here in a few weeks. But, will I book them again? Hard to say. But
little news flash for you. In case you didn't know this is a PSA for the people. If you are a Southwest flyer and you have a trip you're planning coming up, book it today, because after today, no more free bags. You book today, you get them free. Going forward, no mas.
Yeah, that's
so if you've been saying, man, I've got to get to Dallas Love Field urgently, I got to eat at the airport Chick-fil-A or whatever they have there, now is the time to book your flight.
Every airport got a Chick-fil-A now.
Yeah. What do they?
Chick-fil-A used to be one of those deals. It was only in like the mall food courts.
And largely in the South.
Yes.
And then they decided, what if we actually wanted to make more money?
Yeah,
and it worked.
Let's try franchising. And now they're everywhere.
My good friends at Raising Cane's, the exact same way.
Now a mid-sized American city like this one has two of them. And none of them are in a mall food court. So, yeah.
That's true.
The times they are changing. Anyhow,
busier than the mall food court.
We are delighted to be with you with much to discuss from the sports weekend that was on today's show. Two great guests. Let's lay it out for you. We're going to talk some Royals baseball. Tough weekend. Royals lost 3 out of 4 since we talked to you last. Dropped the series in Minnesota. And then a bit of a clunker yesterday, a rare clunker from a Royals starting pitcher as the Royals fall to the Reds 7-4 in the first game of a 3-game series at Kauffman Stadium. Game 2 is tonight, 6:40 first pitch, 6 o'clock pregame from the Royals Baseball Network. So we'll pass the baton straight away to the Royals broadcast when we're done here. We'll talk about that clunker from Michael Lorenzen, what it might mean for the rotation moving forward. One player who continues to be a problem for the offense, and one player I am no longer really worried about as a problem for the offense. We will discuss all of that, plus the roster moves from over the weekend as well. That's all coming up. We will talk some baseball. We're going to talk some college hoops. With all due respect to Tyler Perry and Coleman Hawkins the last couple of years, Kansas State hasn't had a dude like PJ Haggerty in a couple of years at least. They went and got themselves a dude in the transfer portal and paid a hefty chunk of change for the privilege. But Jerome Tang and company just got one of the best players in the transfer portal. If you missed that news over the weekend, PJ Haggerty, last year's American Athletic Conference Player of the Year, the third leading scorer in America, and a second-team All-American, is coming to Manhattan to play a year of college basketball. We will talk about that. How much does that raise the floor for K-State, and how much does it raise the ceiling? We'll talk some K-State, and we'll talk some KU today. Our second guest on the show, Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He'll join us bottom of the 4 o'clock hour for Jayhawk Weekly, as he does every Tuesday. Our first guest today will be Matt Verderame, our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Typically joins us Mondays. Obviously, we were off yesterday. Matt, gracious enough to take some time. And we will talk to Matt about all of the rule changes, non-rule changes, NFL flag football dream teams and a whole lot more with Matt coming up here in about 20, 25 minutes.
I've got to mention this from Michael. We probably aren't going to have time to talk to him today about Corbin Allen. He's got a story up at fog.net about the newest Jayhawk, Corbin Allen, kid from Oak Park in Kansas City. And nothing against Corbin, but he's going to be the 15th out of 15 guys on the roster this year, him and Jamari McDowell at the end there. He's got a story up about how he grew up a KU fan in Kansas City. And he really started getting into the team when Frank Mason and Devontae Graham were running the backcourt in the mid to late 2010s, when he was 8.
Yeah, man.
I thought I was going to die when I read that. And I don't think I'm giving too much away from a VIP story there. I read that and thought, wow, I'm halfway in the ground.
Yeah, man.
8?
Listen, there are going to be kids drafted in this summer's Major League Baseball entry draft who were born during my senior year of college.
Vile. I was floored when I read this.
Born during my senior year in college. Yeah, man. Father Time is undefeated. So Michael Swain, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Matt Verderame, bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. Plus everything else you've come to know and love from an edition of 580 Sports Talk on a Tuesday. We'll do Random Question Tuesday. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a playoff roundup. We'll do good, bad, ugly from the long weekend that was coming up in just a little bit as well. And we want to hear from you. Get at us on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. That is 785-272-9429. Also, if you're watching along on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, you can interact with us and your fellow listeners in the chat, which you can access in the web browser or on your mobile device if you're watching YouTube. You can check out the live chat. Welcome to Vance, Mark, Tyler, Christopher checking in. And appreciate you guys being along so far and look forward to the rest of you, more of you joining us in the live chat. Again, the YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. All right, let's talk some baseball, shall we? Royals ball yesterday, 7-4. All you really need to know about this effort from Cincinnati's perspective as they come in and take the first of a 3-game interleague series at the K yesterday afternoon is that Garrett Hampson got 2 hits. I didn't even know he was on their team. I'll be completely honest with you. I'd lost track of the ex-Royal and Rocky great Garrett Hampson after he got DFA'd by the Diamondbacks a few weeks back. But nope, there he is, turning up with the Reds. And
was it even a few weeks? I thought it was like 18 hours ago he got let go.
Yeah, wasn't that long ago. No, it certainly was not. But Garrett Hampson had 2 hits. And when Garrett Hampson has 2 hits, that probably means your offense had a pretty good day. That was certainly the case for Cincinnati, who hang a 7th spot on 14 hits, 10 of those of the 1 base variety, chasing Michael Lorenzen after 5 innings. And frankly, it would have been faster, but Lorenzen had to eat one yesterday. So there's some grace you got to extend him on his outing because he did not have it. And that is not something that has commonly happened either for Lorenzen nor for really any Royals starting pitcher this year. It has not been a common occurrence. Lorenzen clearly didn't have it, but tonight's a bullpen game. So he had to go out there and he had to eat some innings, and he was able to do that. The Royals were able to use just 3 relievers for the final 4 innings. Shout out to Evan Sisk for picking up a couple of innings, even though that's not typically his role. That was called taking one for the team. Royals will try and get as much out of Daniel Lynch and Jonathan Bolin as they can tonight, and then go from there. TBD can stand for the bullpen dudes. That's who's starting tonight for the
well done.
For the Royals. TBD, the bullpen dudes. Offensively, Royals scored 4 runs. That now makes 2 consecutive games in which the Royals have scored 4+ and lost after they had won 16 consecutive when that is the case. Of course, they lost on Saturday after building a 4-0 lead in walk-off fashion in Minnesota. And then they lose yesterday. Scored 3 in the 7th, got 1 in the 9th, and had the tying run at the plate, but could not push them across. 3 more hits for Vinny Pasquantino as his hit streak continues. Salvador Perez homered in the 7th inning, his 4th of the season, but it was not enough as the Royals lose and drop to 29-26 overall going into tonight's action. Let's handle the good stuff first, because there's less of it than the negative stuff. So let's get the good stuff done. Number 1, Vinny Pasquantino starting to roll. In his last 25 games, he's hitting .346 with a .370 on base and a .519 slug. He's hit in 10 consecutive games, .425 average in his last 10 with a .600 slug. His season line is starting to crawl back to league average. We mentioned OPS plus a lot on this program, which is a number where 100 is the baseline, and it rates your OPS relative to league average with some other like park factors, league factors, things like that. Vinny Pasquantino's at 99, so just a hair below league average now, where 100 is average, everything below is below average. Vinny Pasquantino's right on that line at 99, and given the brutal start he's had to the season, you'll take that at this stage. When I look at the lineup on a day-to-day basis, I no longer really worry about Pasquantino because he is starting to hit. He is hitting with authority. He's using the whole field. And I think that he's found his footing after what was a really difficult start to the season. The Royals can certainly hope Salvador Perez will start to do the same. Did homer yesterday. Numbers are still not real good overall numbers, but he continues to hit the ball hard. All the underlying stuff suggests he's been more unlucky than ungood, if you will.
Yep.
So a little less consternation from me about 3-4 in the order right now. Obviously, you get past that, you need a little more from 6, 7, 8, 9. May Michael Massey no longer a thing. We talked about it going into the month. Hey, Massey typically starts slow, but he always has good Mays. Maybe Massey will get rolling. Massey's now hitting .226 in the month of May with a .241 on base and a .321 slug. And it's probably time to start thinking about some different long-term solutions. Well, long-term, I mean, that maybe that's a little extreme if you still are a believer, but all the numbers are going in the wrong direction for Michael Massey. The underlying numbers, the batted ball data, and the production. When you factor that in with the back issue that he had last year, you start to wonder about his viability as the second baseman for the Royals.
Yep. No, I'm right there with you. You have to worry about that long term. Two pieces of information on Michael Massey. Right now, and I was hoping this would turn around the May Massey thing. Even like we're not seeing good process even like, well, he's got the Salvi thing going on where he's just crushing the ball, but he's gotten unlucky. The batting average on balls in play is way below standard, et cetera, et cetera. According to MLB StatCast and Baseball Savant, Michael Massey has been still, this was the case a month ago. It is still the case today on May 27th. He is the least valuable offensive player in baseball.
Wow.
Last. I don't know how many there are, but I see first percentile on his chart here. That is worst. The least valuable player as a batter in Major League Baseball.
And that, again, is not just because the raw numbers are what they are and they're an eyesore, but the batted ball data suggests he's not hitting the ball with the same kind of authority.
No.
He's not driving the ball. It's just none of the stuff you saw that was positive from Massey last season where he was an above average offensive contributor. It's all going in the wrong direction right now. Matthew Lamar at Royals Review suggested he might even need a reset down at AAA with Cam Devaney banging down the door down there in Omaha and Jonathan India capable of playing second base, although how well he's playing it.
Doing some heavy lifting.
Yeah, he can stand there. You can write number 4 next to him in the lineup. He's not playing it particularly smoothly defensively. But with him capable of playing there, with Nick Lofton up with the big club and capable of playing there, those need to be the two guys who are getting your second base at bats. And I don't know that you can keep carving the at bats out for Michael Massey at this stage. It's one thing if you're waiting for an established guy to get going, somebody with a little bit more of a track record of being an established offensive threat like a Pasquantino or a Perez. We don't have that with Michael Massey. We have 1 year where he was all right, which was last year. I think it's probably time to pull the ripcord and maybe even explore, like with MJ Melendez, a demotion to see if he can't get right.
Yeah, and look, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like to this point, he had the walk-off home run last week, but to this point, it really has not worked all that well for MJ Melendez. He is still trying to find his way down there. But for some guys, it does. The Royals have a multitude of examples, like Moustakas, Alex Gordon. They've got these examples of guys, whether to AAA or getting some time off, whatever, where it has worked out before. So it's a gamble, but it's at this point probably a gamble worth taking, especially when, hey, you can live with Nick Lofton for a little bit. You can look at Cam Devaney and give him some run. But the problem here with Massey especially is he is not giving you anything. It's not like the, once every 10 times to the plate when he gets on base, he's a real threat to take extra bases or he's a great base runner. He's actually not. He's a fairly poor base runner and he's not fast. He has a mediocre at best glove. Like he is maybe middle of the pack in terms of the glove. And you've always got worries again as well because of the back. He's only playing one position. This is not the kind of guy where, well, hey, look, he's been bad, but Renfroe was so awful, we can stow him away in right field. No, he is a second baseman. That is what Massey's doing. Like, at least Vinny, who is turning things around, and like his underlying batting metrics are starting to really tick up even faster than his actual production. Vinny has been one of the best fielders, maybe the best fielding first baseman in all of baseball, and across the entire game, one of the best fielders, period, this year. Like he's giving you something. It's like, okay, well, the bat is obviously what you need, but he's not like a total net negative. Massey's not giving you anything. Like you have no versatility. You don't have the speed. You don't have the base running. You got nothing. You have to try something different because you can't. The Royals are in a place where you expect Salvi's going to come around again because of the process stuff. Vinny is starting to turn. You had the numbers there. Bobby is Bobby. India hasn't been great, but it's better than your leadoff spot last year. Garcia has been good. You need to get rid of the negatives.
Yes. The drag factor on the lineup. Yeah.
This is something that Nate Tice, who covers the NFL, but has said about NFL teams this offseason. And I think it rings true with this Royals team now too. You can't really understate the difference between going from crap to average. That leap is massive. He said that about the Bears most recently. Their line last year was horrific. If it's just like middle of the NFL, like 18th in the league, Caleb Williams might blow up this year. That's all they need. For the Royals, you go from like worst two batters in baseball, Massey and Renfroe, to like Nick Lofton, who hits for no power but gets a number of singles, and a rookie who's unproven but is like okay. Changes everything. You no longer have two black holes in a nine-man batting order. That's a really, really big deal.
And now that John Rave and Nick Lofton are with the big club, I want to see them. I want to see those guys get a run of
Agreed.
starts. Show me 4 or 5 starts in a row for those guys. Let's see what their at-bats look like. I think Lofton had good at-bats on Saturday. Was it Saturday that he, or was it Sunday? It was Sunday. I think it was Sunday he started. He doubled.
I have no idea what happened on what day this weekend.
No, understood. Understood completely. Yeah, he was 0 for 2 yesterday. Had a sac fly. It was a day game. It was, I know that much. So I think it was Sunday that he got the start and he doubled to right center and he hit a couple other balls hard that could have been hits, had hit into some bad luck. But I want to see a run of starts from Lofton. John Rave debuted yesterday. They've earned the opportunity to be here, and nobody is outperforming them so dramatically that they flat deserve to be in the lineup above those guys. I want to see a run of starts for both of those guys. And yes, we see you in the YouTube comments. We see you, Tyler. We see you, Cody. I know everybody's excited for Jack Caglione. He had a monster weekend at AAA. They were also playing in Salt Lake City. That's like zero gravity. Like, yes, we're excited too, but like, do not hold your breath on this. Again, I do not think they're going to put him in a position. And I thought there was an interview clip with Caglione today talking about like there's a plan here. There is a plan that is being put in place for him, and they're following the plan. And the plan isn't probably call him up May 27th.
The other thing to consider here, too.
And I'm not trying to, that's not me pouring cold water. No, I'm just saying, like, he is not the Deus Ex Machina here. And if you're, right now, they got to win with the guys that are on the field right now or on the 26-man roster. And right now, Michael Massey's drag factor is concerning. One other thing I want to get to before we take a break. Michael Lorenzen's ERA jumped to 4.33 with his performance yesterday. 6 runs on 11 hits, walked 3, struck out just 2. He's given you about what you would expect from a fifth starter, at times better than what you would expect from a fifth starter. I certainly think he is an above average fifth starter, but Noah Cameron is out pitching him. And Noah Cameron's actually out pitching a lot of the guys in the Royals rotation. 3 outstanding outings in a row for Cameron since he has been called up. He was terrific on Sunday in Minnesota. And I got to wonder, you got to keep him in the rotation when Reagans and Lugo are both back, right? Like, it's got to be him. Lorenzen's been a guy who's been a swing man in his career. He's pitched out of the bullpen. You've never asked Cameron to do that as a big leaguer. It's an easier transition for a veteran guy who was probably told when he was signed, hey, look, no guarantees, but you might start the season as our 5th starter. You might start it in the bullpen. Michael Lorenzen's been around the block enough. He knows what the deal is. I think it's got to be Noah Cameron in the rotation for the long haul. Speaking of a guy who has gotten a look and has done wonders with it. And honestly, his most recent start against Minnesota, I thought was the best of the 3 because there was more swing and miss. There were more strikeouts. He really is. You hear people talk about pitchability lefties. He knows how to pitch. He's a real pleasure to watch. Kind of reminds me of Bubic a little bit. It's not quite the same kind of stuff and the same kind of deception, but there's that pitchability from the left side. Pretty excited about what the Royals seem to have found with him. And even if it is just like a number 3, number 4 starter, that's valuable. It's a valuable thing to put as a number 5 guy in your rotation for sure.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And I don't know. I mean, Lorenzen has been, for a 5th starter, pretty good, all things considered. Like you said, there haven't been that many duds this year so far. I am glad I'm not making the call right now because I lean going with the guy who's got more upside, and Lorenzen can pitch out of the bullpen. He's done it before, right? That's something that you can do.
Right.
He's bounced back and forth before. There's also a lot of bumps in the road that come with young pitchers. That's the only other thing that you could be concerned about. But at this stage, I mean, Cameron's been super impressive.
Yeah, and
I
don't know what else he's got to prove down at AAA. Like,
yes,
I don't think
agreed.
you can send him back and say, well, hey, you got to work on some stuff. No, man, he has come up pretty fully formed.
Can I add one quick thing about Cags here?
Yes.
So this is from Preston Farr, who runs Farm to Fountains, the Royals, prospect website, blog, etc. He does some really good stuff. He posted this over the weekend about Caglione. One thing that is worth noting, the Royals probably want to wait until at least June 4th to bring him up because that is approximately when it's guaranteed he would not be a Super 2 player.
Sure.
Which would, if you're a Super 2 player, you can hit arbitration a year earlier.
Yeah.
The Royals are not going to want to deal with that.
Which means you get expensive a year earlier.
So if he comes up after June 4th, he would be up 2 years, 115 days, or a lot of details go into it. Not great radio content. So I'm just telling you, I would be shocked if he came up before June 3rd or 4th because the Royals aren't going to want to mess with early arbitration. Now, after that, all bets are off.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. That is how front offices think. We'll give the Bard the last word here, Christopher, in the YouTube comments. You could say the bats are in a rut or just say that the offense is butt. Either way, you're not wrong. It's a tiring old song. Their performance misses the cut. 4 runs has been good enough to win a lot of times, though. Like you get to 4, you feel pretty good. But no, they had a big opportunity in the 9th, and I think it was Massey made the final out. And I think that's a bat that you need to stop writing in pen in the lineup every day. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with the good, the bad, the ugly from the sports long weekend that was. And Matt Verderame will join us in just a bit as well. We're just getting started on 580 Sports Talk. A quick round of the good, the bad, and the ugly from the long weekend. My good, real quick. Man, it's just awesome to hear your kid laugh when you're playing with them, trying to make them laugh. Had a good weekend at home. Obviously stayed in, wasn't really go outside weather, but I got my wife and my son who turns 1 here shortly, here in like a week and change.
Yeah.
And just making him laugh is just dopamine rush. Like, it's just the best. It was just really fun to play with my son yesterday. I had a good time. That's what I did on my off day. That's my good. What do you got, Brendan?
My good is I went up to Chicago, got to see my family, all my friends, and one of my best friends who's been married for 5 years, but got married during COVID. He never had a wedding ceremony. We watched him get married on Facebook Live in May of 2020. So on his 5-year anniversary this past Friday, he and his lovely bride, Megan, had an actual wedding ceremony and reception and all that. So awesome for them. Congrats to Doug and Megan.
You're good, Spencer Dupuis. Welcome.
A relaxing weekend, yeah. It was a relaxing weekend, but not how I wanted it to be relaxing.
Because of the weather?
Because my bad and ugly are the fact that it was Memorial Day weekend, and it was supposed to be like the official start of summer. You go outside, spend some time outside as, you reflect on everything the Memorial Day weekend is, and the weather.
Memorial Day at the lake? Nope. Memorial Day on the links? Nope.
Memorial Day in the yard?
Memorial Day, and I thought I moved to Portland?
Yeah, pretty rough.
Got a bad, Brendan?
Yes, my bad. I saw a picture on social media this weekend of an autographed football trading card from Frank Gore Jr. It was in blue Sharpie, and it was just the letters in print, FGJ. I could have done that. And I can only imagine what that card probably was, what was paid to get that card.
The real question is, was that actually real?
I hope it was, actually.
My bad was the God Bless America singer on Sunday at Target Field for the Royals and Twins game, who sang from the mountains and the prairies to the oceans, white with snome. And he really sang the hell out of the word snome,
He committed to it all the way.
It's time to stop doing God Bless America on Sundays at 7 stretch. Just stop doing it, please. MLB, I'm begging you. Please stop. My ugly... terrible scene at the Liverpool Football Club championship parade in Liverpool, England yesterday. Somebody drove into a crowd of people. Somehow, miraculously, though, 50 people plus were injured. Nobody appears to have been killed, which is a miracle because, again, somebody drove a car into a crowd of people. But just an awful way to ruin what should have been a celebratory day. And I know that hits home in Kansas City with what happened at the parade after Super Bowl 58. Man, people got to stop spoiling these celebratory days. It's just awful.
The ugly for me is nobody can cover Caitlin Clark like a normal person. Absolutely no one. I love watching Caitlin Clark play basketball. But, guys, she's just a normal athlete. Christine Brennan, I believe of USA Today, she had a tweet this weekend where she said, "This is unfortunate news for Caitlin Clark. It's terrible for the WNBA, for merchandise, attendance, viewership, social media, in a way no sports league has ever dealt with before. I've asked the WNBA for comment." Bro, she's out 2 weeks with a calf.
Hey,
It's
the get-in prices have dropped by like 70%, though. You can go to a game for $25.
Boy, I'll bet. We'll take a break, and we've got Matt Verderame joining us next. Well, his name is Matt. That is correct. We're not going to Kansas City to talk to Matt Verderame, but we welcome in our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, who joins us typically Mondays on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline, but we're grateful he's taking the time to join us on this Tuesday. Matt Verderame is our guest. Matt, how was your Memorial Day weekend?
Good. How was yours?
It was good. Wet. We're getting a lot of rain out here, but no, it was good. Got to spend a little family time and enjoyed it very much.
Good. That's what the holiday weekend's always for.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you asking. Matt, let's get into some football, shall we? The results of the owners' meetings and the voting on new rules is done and dusted, and the tush-push lives. How big a surprise in the end is the fact that that play survived these owners' meetings and was not banned in the end?
It was surprising. I think the general thought around the league was that they were going to get the numbers. They were going to get 24 out of the 32 votes that were needed to ban it. They came up 2 votes short. And look, I think eventually this thing's getting banned. Now, whether or not it's going to be in a way where they ban all pushing of players that have the ball, all ball carriers, if they ban that specific play, my guess is it's more generalized. But look, in the end, I think it kind of came down to there is no proof that play causes any more injury than any other play. And truthfully, I sat there and really thought about it. And I'm sure I'm forgetting one or two. I can't think of any time a quarterback sneak has had a result of an injured quarterback outside of Mahomes. 2 times I ever remember a guy getting hurt on that play. So I think that was part of it. I also think there were some people who felt like it was just targeting one team and not targeting an actual problem. And so that's why it fell short. But the NFL is against the play. Goodell's against the play. The TV networks are against the play. So eventually this thing's going to get banned, but it didn't for this year.
Another big development from the owners' meetings is the go-ahead for NFL participation in flag football in the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. Obviously, the league is keen on the idea, and you can understand why, but how much do you think there will be enthusiasm, one, in the end, from players, and two, from the teams individually when they realize that, wait a minute, one of my guys is going to miss training camps or OTAs so you can go play flag football in the Olympics and risk an injury for playing for his country? How much do you think this will really have traction?
Oh, the teams are going to have a heart attack. The teams are going to have a heart attack, especially skill position guys. Quarterback, okay, whatever. Receivers, corners, running back, people are going to be going, oh my God, if some guy blows an ACL out at the Olympics, I'm going to lose my mind. That's going to be a real thing. Teams are going to be freaked out. The players, I think at the beginning, there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm. I don't know by like 2040 how much enthusiasm there's going to be. But, I don't think there's any question, for just the opportunity for these guys. Listen, you're going to the Olympics. And a lot of these guys, they're friends with basketball players. They're friends with hockey players. They're friends with baseball players. These guys all have their own stages on the Olympic, in the Olympic Games. And, of course, football players never have. I think that's going to be an allure. I think there's going to be the idea, and especially the first one, that's always unique. You think about all the iterations of the United States Olympic men's basketball teams we've sent over the years. What team do you think about? The first one. You think about the first one. And I think there's going to be something to that. You're going to have guys who really want to be part of that first team. Now, after that, I think it tails off a little bit. But the 2028 one, you're gonna have guys who really want to be in that.
Matt Verderame is our guest. He joins us usually on Mondays, today on Tuesday, to talk all things NFL via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. You can find his work at SI.com, in Sports Illustrated, on Patreon at the Matt Verderame Show, and that football show at the KC Sports Network. Matt, this past week, Jim Irsay passed away, the longtime owner of the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, his father owned the Baltimore Colts before that. Eccentric is a word that comes to mind immediately with Jim Irsay. Obviously had a lot of his own personal demons, didn't meet them head on very publicly as well during his career, gave a lot of money to charity. What is the thing you are going to remember about Jim Irsay?
That anyone who met him privately will tell you what a great person he was. And to me, listen, I know a lot of people will walk away and say, well, he fought, as you put it, personal demons. That's certainly true. I hate when people are judged by their personal demons. He didn't hurt anybody else. He wasn't a bad person. He struggled. And I think we all know somebody in our lives, in some cases it's us, who have struggled with, addiction or substance abuse and have wanted to break that cycle desperately, and they just never could. His father, Robert Ursay, by all accounts, was pretty much a monster. Jim, by all accounts, was a really kind soul who did a lot of good things for a lot of people that maybe weren't as fortunate as he was, from a financial standpoint. And to me, your character is often measured by who you are when no one's watching you. When no one was watching Jim Irsay, he was an incredible human being. And so, look, for all the issues he struggled with, he was a good man. He was someone from a football perspective who cared deeply about the Indianapolis Colts, who cared deeply about the NFL. The league's worse off for losing him. It really is. And, there are a lot of owners who are in it just to make money. And they don't really care Jim Irsay cared if he won. It mattered to him. And to me, if you're a league, if you have 32 people who care about the league and about winning as much as Jim Irsay did, you're in a pretty good spot. So the Colts and the NFL will certainly miss Jim Irsay's presence.
No, beautiful words, Matt. Now let's get to some of the stuff on the field, or at least the players who are going to be on the field coming up this fall. And let's talk cornerbacks. Yeah, corner, not quarter. Let's start with Jalen Ramsey, who has started getting very cryptic on social media. Word for weeks now has been the Miami Dolphins are going to find a way to trade him. And if they don't soon, they're going to have to pay him a whole lot of extra guaranteed money. What's the latest on Jalen Ramsey and his future outlook?
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret Miami wants to deal, and they've been pretty open about it. Look, the problem is Jalen Ramsey's not the Jalen Ramsey was 2-3 years ago. I mean, he's not terrible, but he's just the kind of a guy. But he's a guy making a whole lot of money. And he's at this point, look, let's be honest. He's older, going to be on the other side of that age 30, mountain. And I think at some juncture here, the Dolphins have to be real. They're not getting anything for him. They're not. Like, they are looking at, if I'm Miami, if I'm sitting in that front office and I can get a late day 3 pick for him, and I got to even eat a little bit of the money, fine. I think that's what you're looking at. Like, there's no team that's excited to trade for Ramsey. At this point, if you're trading for Jalen Ramsey, you're trading for a guy who you are hoping to milk one more good year out of. So I think for the Dolphins, again, it's kind of like the Falcons with Cousins. Like, at some point, you got to just get real and go, all right, look, we have to kind of cut our losses here. And I think with Ramsey, that's what's eventually going to happen. The Dolphins are not going to get anything meaningful for Jalen Ramsey.
As for the star cornerback with the Green Bay Packers, Jair Alexander, the scuttlebutt all offseason has been the Packers are going to move him. If they can't trade him, they'll cut him, but they really want to try to trade him. Been quiet on that front for a while. Then earlier today, Matt Schneidman over at The Athletic, Packers beat writer, said that the Packers have proposed a restructured contract to Alexander and also added Alexander wants to stay in Green Bay. That was a new piece of information. I have an emotional tie here, being a Packers fan, as you know. I like Jair Alexander. He's really good when he's on the field. The problem is he's only played 17 of the last 36 Packers games. That is not enough when you're paying him the kind of money Green Bay is paying him. Where do you think this saga eventually ends?
Honestly, look, the two things about this. One, if I'm Jair Alexander, yeah, I probably do want to stay in Green Bay because I got to tell you, I think if they cut him, he's looking at a very cheap contract. Who's paying him? I mean, you just laid it all out there perfectly. He doesn't play. They're on the field. So who's running to pay Jair Alexander? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if he got cut, he'd be jobless until October. Like, he's a very talented player, but being talented is great. If you're not available, it doesn't really matter. And he has not been available now for a while. I mean, this isn't just like a year thing. So that's part of it. I think that's why he'd prefer to stay in Green Bay. And if you're the Packers, listen, as you said, I mean, he's a very good player when he's on the field. He's an all-pro level corner. So if you're the Packers, instead of just moving off of him or getting nothing, because they're not going to get anything in trade. What are they getting? A day 3 pick? They're not getting anything that is going to knock the socks off. And so if you're the Packers, yeah, I mean, look, they can call it a restructure. They're giving him a pay cut. I mean, let's just be honest. They're going to go to him and say, Jair, if you want to stay here, we'll still pay you like you're a good player, but we're not going to pay you like you're a great player. And if we cut you, nobody's going to pay you like you're a great player. And you may not even get paid like you're a good player. So we are willing to give you a new deal, essentially, that involves a pay cut. I think for both sides, that makes the most sense. So that would be my bet. But you never know. Sometimes players balk at stuff like that. They feel like they need a fresh start. But my guess is for all parties involved, that would be the best outcome.
We're joined by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, a team that went to the NFC Championship game last season is without one of their top receiver in OTAs. Terry McLaurin missing OTAs. He wants a new deal. About to be 30 at the start of the season. Where do you think do you think he gets a deal in DC, or do you think they do something else?
I think, look, if you're them, you've got to give him a deal. First of all, you have a cheap quarterback. That helps. They don't have a ton of massive contracts on their books. I mean, if you look around that team, you're not paying huge money. I mean, Debo is getting paid, but he's at the end of his deal. Same thing with Larry Tunsil. You're not laying out massive money. I mean, they have a phenomenal cap situation. So if I'm Washington, I'm sitting there going, look, we got Jaden Daniels. We're not letting Terry McLaurin walk out of here or trading him. He's a cornerstone. And he's one of those guys, if you sign him into his age 32, 33 season, and you got to just kind of eat it for one of the years, you'll live with it. You just say, all right, you know what? He was great here for 9-10 years. And if he's not good for one of them, so be it. We'll live with that cost. They think, that's sometimes the cost of doing business with a great player. And we've seen teams, extend guys into their 30s recently, like a Mike Evans, like a Chris Jones, where, hey, look, if that guy's not good when he's 33, fine. You need to move forward. But yeah, I would expect that they'll find a resolution with Terry McLaurin.
Couple more questions for Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com, our NFL insider, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. The Steelers are working out with a quarterback room of Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Skylar Thompson. It's very K-State friendly quarterback room there in Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers was on the Joe Rogan podcast last week. So that's where those two parties currently stand. Is this the kind of thing that they're just not going to consummate until training camp gets underway? Or do you think there might be some hesitation on the Steelers side every time Rodgers goes on another podcast and opens his mouth?
Look, this is completely my opinion. I don't know this to be a fact. This is just my educated guess, having covered the league and knowing the way some of these teams operate. I think there's a part of this where the Steelers, look, they definitely want him. Okay, and there's no question about it. They know that quarterback room's a disaster. At the same point, I think there's a little bit of hesitation on both sides. On the Steelers side, I think there's some just of like, that you're bringing in somewhat of the circus. I mean, it just is what it is. Whether you agree with Rodgers, disagree with, you're just dealing with somebody who is going to come in and he's going to make headlines for who he is. And the Steelers are a very old school franchise. I used this example the other day on another spot. Like when Tyreek Hill was in Kansas City, how many public appearances, how many times did you hear from Tyreek Hill? 0. You never heard of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, wonder why.
The second he went to Miami, had a podcast, organizations Chiefs are old school with that stuff. The Steelers are old. I can tell you right now, he goes to the Steelers, he's not doing McAfee every week. That's not going to happen. It's a different deal unless he really gets them so far over a barrel that they finally have to capitulate. And I think that could be part of this, where the Steelers want him to kind of come in one way and he wants to come in, free as a bird. And I think the other part is talking to people around the league. There's this thought that what if JJ McCarthy isn't 100% healthy? What if he doesn't look great? Would the Vikings pivot? Would they sign Rodgers for a year? Knowing what I know about the Vikings and their thoughts on McCarthy, I think McCarthy would have to legitimately be injured for that to be the case. But I think if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're waiting that out because the Steelers are not a Super Bowl contender. They're a good team. They're not a Super Bowl contender. The Vikings could be with Rodgers. And I think that's kind of where his mind's at, if I'm reading this from 40,000 feet.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, appears with us every week here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, thanks so much for taking some time out of your Tuesday. We appreciate you. Great stuff as always. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
That's Matt Verderame. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up the 3 o'clock hour after this. Our thanks again to Matt Verderame for joining us. To the point I was making about NFL players and their enthusiasm on actually playing flag football in the Olympics, Jamar Chase was asked about it at Bengals OTAs today. Said, quote, I don't know. I want to know the timing for us off-season, in-season. I want to know if we're getting paid. There's a lot of questions to it. I think it's pretty cool, but I'm not really 100% on it yet. So some hesitation.
You know, I would actually love to see, like, rotational dudes play. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to see Mahomes throwing to Chase. But what about, like, maybe like a player a step above Albert Wilson?
Philip Dorsett, time to shine.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll take a timeout. Michael Swain's going to join us. What is wrong with you? But we're talking K-State hoops. Start the 4 o'clock hour. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on a Tuesday afternoon, back from a 3-day weekend, refreshed, re-energized, full of beans, however you want to put it. Glad to be with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream. Catch us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe if you have not yet. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, or you can watch us on Facebook, too, WIBW News. Gang's all here. Dan Lucero, Brendan Brzezinski, Spencer Dupuis. We are with you until 6 o'clock, at which point we will hand off to the Royals Baseball Network. Pre-game coverage, Game 2 of a 3-game series between the Royals and the Reds at the K. Royals trying to bounce back from a 7-4 loss in the series opener last night. A pair of first-rounders, ex-Royals first-rounders, will be the starting pitchers tonight. Daniel Lynch is going to be the first of the bullpen guys to pitch for Kansas City. Brady Singer makes his return to the Kauffman Stadium mound for the Reds. Brady Singer had a nice little April. His May, did I mention he had a nice little April?
I am going to go take a quick gander at some of the data on Brady Singer.
Heck, I'm looking at the stats right now.
It's not great in terms of the underlying numbers. A lot of blue. Lot of blue.
The walks have gone up. The walk rate right now is a career high. The strikeout rate has ticked back down from where it was last year. Home runs are about what they usually were. Actually, hit rate is slightly down. But, this would be this year so far is a step back from what Singer was for the Royals last season.
I know that India has not been great. I mean, better than what the Royals were using at the leadoff spot last year, for sure. They made the trading Singer. They did it at the perfect time. That was a JJ Piccolo A+ right there. Because even if Singer bounces back in 26, like, hey, that's a good pitcher right there. They moved him at the exact right time. This man hates off-speed pitches more than anyone hates anything. He has changed up his arsenal this year. He's throwing the sinker a lot. He's added a cutter.
Yes,
he's got the four-seamer going.
He's added a cutter.
He's throwing the sweeper 3% of the time, not often, but he's throwing it along with the slider, obviously. Just won't throw off speed. Just not going to do it. Brady, can you throw one changeup, please? Please, my family is dying. They need one changeup. Nope, sorry.
Brady, would you like to learn something to keep lefties off of your fastball? Absolutely not, but thank you for offering.
I appreciate you thinking about me. I'm not going to do it.
For the record, according to Baseball Reference War, the Reds are winning the trade so far. Both Singer and India have been below replacement level.
Sick.
But Singer only 0.1 wins below replacement. India 0.7 wins below replacement. I think that's all defense.
Yes, I think it is. which is why that stat is especially noisy before we hit really the All-Star break.
Right.
Because defense is obviously important, but the Royals did not sign or trade for Jonathan India for him to play defense. You're relying on everyone else to be able to do that. I don't have the splits in front of me. How is Brady Singer doing against lefties? Maybe we'll save this for the 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
hour,
I don't have those either. We can do that.
I'll do a little research.
Fangraphs.
I'm going to do my own research online for this one.
Fangraphs has Singer at positive contributor though this year. He's been worth half a win according to Fangraphs, where India's been worth the same, negative. So, news you can use. Anyway, we will get more into that, talk a little more Royal in the 5 o'clock hour. Still to come this hour, our weekly chat with Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. It's Jayhawk Weekly on the program. And much to discuss. A big win on the football recruiting trail and some head-scratching losses on the basketball transfer portal recruiting trail. We're going to hit those bases with Michael when he joins us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour.
I've got some beef with some of the KU internet. Really, I've got a lot of beef with the KU internet recently. I think people are being too tough on Bill Self, which makes me like the ultimate brown noser fan. I understand that. But I need to ask Michael about it because he is going to shoot me straight.
Yeah, he always does. And we look forward to having him on the program at the bottom.
And not in the way Jesse Newell used to, when I'd be like, Jesse, shoot me straight about this. And then he would tell me how bad everything with KU football was, and I'd cry.
Yeah.
A little better than that these days.
Yeah, I remember that. Hey, Jesse, please, a ray of sunshine, a morsel, please, for this starving KU football fan. Just like, nope, they're crap. Here's why.
Yes. In his old intro, the clip, we end the little sound bite with him going, yeah, you thought wrong. That was me saying, Jesse, I thought things would be different this week. And yeah, so.
Yeah, look forward to Michael stopping by bottom of this hour. We'll also have another round of What Is Wrong With You coming up. New week on What Is Wrong With You. Last week, we're going to crown a May champion on Friday. So we've got today and tomorrow to get a short week champ, and then semifinals Thursday, championship for the month of May on Friday. So looking forward to that as well. But we start this hour, and we want to hear from you throughout the hour. 785-272-9429 is the text line number, 785-272-9429. You can also comment in the chat. Love to have you interact with us and your fellow listeners. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Appreciate everybody who has weighed in on the chat today. Big news this weekend from the college basketball transfer portal. And it's so funny how these dominoes fell that Kansas thought Darian Williams was signed, sealed, and delivered. They were pretty confident. They were the last visit before the dead period. Darian Williams was in Lawrence the day before the dead period. And if it was not at the 1 yard line, like the Dame Sarr recruitment was, it certainly felt very close that KU had the inside track on Darian Williams. And then Will Wade made a strong ass offer, as he's known to do.
That's his thing.
And Darian Williams is instead going to North Carolina State. But when North Carolina State dropped a bag at Darian Williams' feet, one of their other primary transfer portal targets, PJ Haggerty, formerly of the Memphis Tigers, stopped feeling the love a little bit. And he and his people were making some phone calls. And so it is that over the weekend, Haggerty, the reigning AAC Player of the Year and a second-team All-American last season, announced his commitment to Kansas State. And I said this at the top. I'll reiterate again. Jerome Tang will tell you. Told you his first season when he went to the Elite Eight, has told you at every turn since. Dudes win games. You win games with dudes. And with respect to the crown jewels of the transfer portal for K-State the last 2 seasons, Tyler Perry 2 seasons ago, Coleman Hawkins last season, what we have in PJ Haggerty is a capital D dude. And the best thing about this addition for Kansas State. So the last 2 years, the big guns coming out of the portal were Perry and Hawkins. Those were the guys. Those were the portal commitments that you hung your hat on going into the season for Kansas State. And Tyler Perry was a nice player, very good shooter, great foul shooter. I mean, he could ice the game from the free throw line like nobody's business. Coleman Hawkins did what, when you buy a Coleman Hawkins, it's what it says on the package. He did all of the things that he typically does. He score a little bit, rebound a little bit, distribute a little bit,
well, yeah.
Defend a little bit, do everything well as a connector. Problem was he wasn't connected to enough good players. That was the issue with Coleman Hawkins. But at the end of the day, we have talked about this each of the last 2 seasons for Kansas State teams that have not gone to the NCAA tournament. It's not just about dudes. It's about alpha dogs. It's about 3 minutes left, tie game. What are we doing here? Who's going to take command of the game, grab the team by the scruff of the neck, and go get a bucket? And Kansas State, Tyler Perry was miscast as that, and Coleman Hawkins was never going to be that. And you ended up with a leadership vacuum and an alpha dog vacuum on last year's Kansas State team that was very costly to them. PJ Haggerty is the alpha dog on the Kansas State basketball roster for 2025-26. And everybody on that roster right now knows that's the case. As soon as you pick up an All-American, the 3rd leading scorer in the country, and add him to your team, everybody knows that's the guy. That's the guy in a close game. We're jumping on his back. That's the guy whose lead we are going to follow. That's the guy who's going to go get us a bucket when we need a bucket. Kansas State has not had that player since Jerome Tang's first season, when they knew they had one elite point guard play, so Marquise Noel was going to create for somebody, himself or someone else. And more often than not, the guy he was creating for was also an All-American in Keontae Johnson. Now you've got another All-American on the roster. This is a player who raises the floor enough. I wasn't sure. We were talking about the rotation on, I think it was Thursday, maybe it was Friday's show last week when it was just Spencer and I. We were talking about what Kansas State had on their roster, like going into the weekend before the Haggerty commitment. You could see an 8-man rotation. Like it was there. They had 8 guys who you felt like, okay, yeah, they can play. They're Big 12 or Big 12 adjacent caliber players, but floor is pretty low with this group. It's a lot of ifs. A lot of ifs that they need to come good if you want to feel solid about this team making the NCAA tournament. PJ Haggerty both raises your ceiling because he's an All-American, but he raises your floor because he's an alpha dog. And I think this addition puts Kansas State pretty firmly in the conversation of teams in the Big 12 who should make the NCAA tournament. That's why you go and spend $2.5 million in NIL for this guy.
I agree with you on that. And I told you guys this in a group chat when this happened yesterday. I think this puts you farther into do or die territory for Jerome Tang after 2 disappointing years. But I think that's a good thing. Like I said this before with, I think it was the year, I'm trying to remember which year it was. Maybe it was after the Elite 8 team. Like you should want that if you're Kansas State, because you know what that means? There's like, you have a team that should be beyond excuses at this point. You've got everybody is a Tang guy at this point. The culture he wants is in place. He has done what I have asked of this program this offseason, which is make a change to the coaching staff. Something had to change. And what did they go out and do? Added a head coach, an active sitting head coach at the Division I level as an assistant who hopefully is going to totally flip their style of play on its head, or at least take it into a more modern level. K-State, did you guys talk about this on Friday?
Yes, Matthew Driscoll, yes.
K-State was outside the top 200 in tempo this year. Driscoll's team at North Florida was top 10, okay? I don't know if they're going to completely go into that style, but I will tell you this. Good high-level basketball, good coaches are willing to listen to their assistants. You know how I know this? This season for Washburn basketball, Brett Bell, we know he's a great, great coach. He brought in Ty Danielson, a former MIAA player at Nebraska Kearney, had been a coach elsewhere. He comes in, he's brought onto the staff, replaces Jordan Banks. He brought the idea of the ball screen traps and bringing the 5-man out to the perimeter, Andrew Clausen trapping. That defense took Washburn from good NCAA tournament contender, maybe MIAA contender, to this might be the best team in the country. You listen to those assistants. You bring those guys in, not just to say, hey, I did something. No, you went and got a sitting head coach in Driscoll because you're going to listen to what he's going to do. You like what he's bringing to the table.
Yeah, you don't go get a sitting head coach to be the guy who hands out orange slices and Capri Suns.
And this move, getting Haggerty for what we have read now from Adam Zagoria of a bunch of different places, including Zag's blog, $2.5 million. Maximum is what they might be paying PJ Haggerty. He's getting $2 million, no doubt, according to Adam Zagoria, with $500,000 in incentives as well. That's not nothing, okay? Even this year when things have really blown up in the portal and with NIL payments, that's not nothing. They are committed to this guy. That's why I think with the additions they've made, and I'll get to more on this in a moment, the additions they've made, getting the guy who is either the most or the second most talented player Jerome Tang has ever had next to at K-State. Next to Keontae Johnson. You get him because you think, okay, we want a guy who's going to take the big shots, who's going to keep things controlled on the floor, who we can say, all right, we're down 3 at Fifth Third Arena in Cincinnati on a Wednesday night on CBS Sports Network. And you know what? This isn't a must win, but it's kind of a must win. There's a minute left on the clock. PJ, go win the game. And that's what you expect him to do, just like Keontae Johnson in 2023. And I know if you're a K-State fan, you probably hate how we, and really me, like beat this dead horse over and over about, well, in 2023, the teams have sucked since then.
Yes.
They've been bad. They missed the tournament 2 years in a row. That is the point. K-State wants to be a second weekend, or at least, God forbid, just getting to the tournament kind of team.
They set the standard high. Jerome Tang took the mic after they beat Kansas at Bramlage his first season and said, from now on, we expect to win. And they have not won. They have gone 2 years without making the tournament. Coaches don't get 3 years of missing the tournament. In this era of college basketball, you don't get to miss the tournament 3 years in a row.
No.
So if you're Jerome Tang, you're thinking you've got to go get a dude. And for a long time, we kind of wondered. But this is kind of what we should expect. Like, the longer Jerome Tang is a head coach, they've done their business late in the transfer portal window. Keontae Johnson was around this time of year. Coleman Hawkins was very late in the window 2 years ago. And now PJ Haggerty is the get. He is the guy who comes in, and I think a lot of people make some broad assumptions about a player because they look and, he scored a lot, but how good was Memphis really? They just beat up on weaker competition, the AAC. They lost to Colorado State first round of the NCAA tournament. That had more to do with one of those teams was well coached, and the other team was coached by Penny Hardaway. I'll be honest about that. But PJ Haggerty didn't get to be a second-team All-American because he's good stats on a bad team. He can score from anywhere on the floor. He has dramatically improved his three-point shooting, went from 29% in his second year to 36% last year, and that's not elite, but you have to guard him. And if you have to guard him out there, that makes his mid-range and pull-up and float game that much more effective. And, this dude lives at the free throw line. And shot 82% at the line last season.
Yeah, really good player.
For K-State to modernize, space the floor, shoot more threes, all those things that we think that they want to do based on what we've seen, the 5-out offense from Jerome Tang, and what we assume from Matthew Driscoll coming in, having coached teams that were among the nation's leaders in three-point attempts. If there is a combination betwixt and between with Tang's offensive philosophy and Driscoll's offensive philosophy, you could not ask for a better guy to handle the ball. And I know there's this too. Well, he's not really a true point guard. You don't need to be a true point guard to be an effective playmaking guard. That's what we've got here with Haggerty. He's not Bob Cousy. He's what you call a combo guard because he can score and he can distribute. And most importantly, he can get downhill to the rim, and that creates so much for everybody else. This edition makes Abdi Bashir a better player because he's going to get more open three-point looks. Mm-hmm. This edition makes Marcus Johnson a better player because he's going to get more open three-point looks. Mm-hmm. This edition makes Nate Johnson a better player. And honestly, having Nate Johnson around probably makes PJ Haggerty a better player because Nate Johnson, the MAC Defensive Player of the Year, he's going to guard the other team's best guard, so Haggerty doesn't have to.
Take some pressure off him.
And so I think what we're seeing is the pieces starting to fit together. Now, they're still not real big in the post. That could be a problem. They don't have like a 7-footer, but think of the centers that K-State's had in the Tang era. None of those guys ended up being particularly useful. They're just tall. They
haven't really
they're better when they have a rim running power forward playing center. And if they're too small to, if Flory gets some lob dunks at Allen Fieldhouse, that's the price you're kind of going to have to pay because they aren't going to be real big. I don't know that they're going to go. I don't think there are any 7-footers out there the kind that would make sense for this team, for this roster anyhow. But you can see the pieces starting to come together. They're up to going to be 9 playable guys. And now you're talking about, okay, if there's a second-year jump from David Castillo, if Andre Kostic is really good, which, there is a chance he could be really good.
Yeah.
Wide range of outcomes, but there is a world in which Kostic shows up and is lottery good, that kind of a player. Now, if you have all of those ifs, that raises your ceiling, but your floor is so much higher because your best player is this good. And that has not been the case the last 2 seasons for K-State.
No, I hear you on that. And I have questions about how this is built. I think the center problem is a blind spot for Tang. I'll be blunt about it. I think that is somewhere where the program has missed, and they should have focused more energy on getting a true a real 5, not just someone who's 6'8" and plays there, an actual movable center. I think that's a miss. But Obviously, they do not feel that way. And, like, obviously, part of Jerome Tang's ethos is we do not need a true center.
Right now, if they started the season, Kamari McGriff's probably their 5, and I have no idea who the backup 5 is. It doesn't sound like they want to play the JUCO kid who committed.
No,
they want
to redshirt.
They want to redshirt him. So I don't know who the backup 5 is. Maybe you just go really small, and it's Marcus Johnson at 6'7" and a lot on the scale, and you just go small and you really commit to that 5 out. But yeah, right now that is the biggest question that I have for this K-State team is what does the front court look like and how are they going to handle teams that can go big on them?
The big question, and this we know this is the case with the portal era, is are the pieces all going to fit together? And it's always easy with the benefit of hindsight to look back and say, okay, there were some problems there. Like sometimes you get the example of Kansas this past year. Rylan Griffin stunk and AJ Storr was worse. Like sometimes guys play badly and that's it. And maybe it's a cultural fit more than a pieces fit. Those guys just stunk. And that's why it didn't work out. For K-State, I thought they were going to be a tournament team. I thought they'd sneak in as a 6th or a 7th seed. And as it turned out, a lot of the players they brought in were not very good. Like CJ Jones is still out there looking for a home. And I wish him the best of luck getting paid before he goes pro in something other than sports because he just wasn't a very good basketball player. Like Brendan Housen going to Iowa makes sense because it's a Ben McCollum team. If you told me he's going to go to somewhere else that doesn't shoot, like everybody doesn't shoot 40% from 3 and like he might have to play defense, that's not going to work. Like it's easy with the benefit of hindsight. And you can look back at last year's team and say, yeah, if Coleman Hawkins is your number 1 guy, that's probably not going to work. He was really good at Illinois when he played with Ayo Dosunmu and Terrence Shannon, like all-American caliber players, first-team All-Big Ten caliber guys. When it's his show, that skill set doesn't really run things all that well. It doesn't quite click. You didn't have the true point guard the last couple of – you had Doug, but he was kind of all over the place. So you always have to wonder, are these pieces going to fit? I think there are some – I don't want to say questionable, like, oh, I think this is a bad idea. I do question, like, what do Nate Johnson and Marcus Johnson on the floor at the same time look like? Obviously, different body types, different skill sets, but the way that Johnson kind of played at Bowling Green, the way Marcus played at Bowling Green, the way Nate played at Akron, I think there's some questions there. What position is Abdi Bashir? That's a question for me because he's huge, he's tall, he's skinnier than me by a considerable amount.
Probably your 3. At this point, right now, if they roll the ball and had to play tomorrow, it'd be Haggerty, it would be Nate Johnson, it'd be Bashir at the 3, it'd be McGriff at the 5, and then
Johnson at the
4 could be Marcus Johnson, like
a funhouse mirror lineup.
Yeah,
but it could work, but you don't know.
Or it could be Kostic with the guards, and you bring Bashir off the bench if you need shooting. And
I think I'd prefer that.
And you don't have to worry if the shot isn't falling, you have an option. Or if he's not able to guard in that game, you have another option. Like that was the problem with last year's roster is that you did kind of need Brendan Housen to be more than just get him up. And now you're in a spot guard wise where you don't need that player. Like if you don't need that player in a game, you're not hosed.
I would feel better looking at the roster on paper right now. I would feel better with Bashir and Castillo being your first 2 off the bench. I do not know what they'll do at the 5 at the backup spot. I'm right there with you. I have no idea what that's going to look like.
Yeah, no. Tyreek Smith probably starts at the 4. I should have said that.
You have him in the mix too.
Yeah, Tyreek Smith. He'll get the anticipation is he'll get the waiver. If he's your 4 and McGriff's your 5, like that's fine. Those guys can't play 38 minutes a night. Like, you're going to need a solution. I guess you rotate those 2 with Marcus Johnson, and that's your front court. But again, you're really small.
Yeah,
and that could be a problem for you unless your guards really guard their tails off. But a ways to go before the season starts. But
there's a big win, even with my question.
K-State,
a huge win.
Yes, K-State needed something like this to feel good about, and they have it with PJ Haggerty. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Michael Swain's going to join us to talk KU in a bit. But first, what is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk? What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk, brought to you by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. When it comes to those often confusing worlds, call Mo. He knows. 785-273-1572.
Mo's got some little ones at home. Ours are like, don't do a whole lot. Like your son crawls around, but like
he was pushing his little shopping cart around.
How about that?
He's doing laps, like very serious laps, like not laughing or smiling, just getting his steps in around the house. He's gonna be walking in no time.
But I would imagine still with like young but not baby kids, like you get stuck inside with the rain all weekend. That can't be fun, especially a long weekend. Like, you want to watch another movie?
Yeah. Entertainment options may be a little limited for sure. All right, 2 news stories today. I'll go first. We go to Wilkes-Barre Township in Pennsylvania. We meet 39-year-old Chaz Pearson, who was waiting in line inside a plasma donation center, waiting in line to donate plasma. And he was waiting in line. There's an elderly man in line, and he farted.
Nice.
He passed gas.
Crop dusted him.
Yeah. The man apologized. Pearson did not accept the apology. He hit him in the head.
Oh.
The man's son intervened and was also struck by Pearson. He is facing charges of simple assault, harassment, and disorderly conduct. He who smelt it, dealt it, and by it, the second time, I mean a beatdown.
You know, I got banned from donating plasma in college.
Did you?
Yeah, the paperwork was like, if you have diabetes, it is okay. And then I got there like, oh, wait, actually, that's not okay. What the hell, bro?
I understand that.
I need my $50,
man. Did you get banned because you farted in
they
line?
They should have at least given you the $50 if they messed up.
Right. That's
sorry, you can't do it again.
I can't believe he crop dusted a guy. I wouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, like, look, man.
Wasn't me.
Sometimes, even in public, it's better to let it out and bear the shame than hold it in and bear the pain. Like, we've all been there. But at the same time, you probably don't think it's going to get you punched in the head.
I would hope not.
Ooh. It must have been foul.
All right, my story today in What Is Wrong With You, brought to you by our guy, Ryan Mo Winkle and Mo Winkle Financial Services. We are headed to Corfu in Greece, where a troupe of pole dancers have been arrested after sparking fury over a scantily clad photo shoot in front of a historic Greek landmark. Earlier this week, a video of the racy performance went viral as British onlookers watched the half-naked women outside the old palace of St. Michael and St. George in the early hours of the morning. One of the clips shows 2 women balancing on a pole in bright red underwear in front of the 200-year-old UNESCO heritage site.
Just acrobatic dancers.
In another video, a woman in a black leotard thong, I mixed those together, black thong leotard is cheered on by a British woman who shouts, "Yes, Shelley, nice!" The women have since been charged with violating archaeological law and degrading the surrounding area.
Those are very funny charges.
It is said the troupe did not understand the gravity of their unfortunate actions until the video went viral. Local media have reported the British tourists appeared before a prosecutor over the weekend. They remain in custody. They had a hearing a little bit earlier on today.
So they just go and like pole dance in front of like, I don't know, did they get all 7 wonders of the world in? Or like they do it in front of the Parthenon?
Yes, Shelley! Shake it!
In Colosseum in Italy, is this a world?
We're going to the Parthenon next!
The World Acrobatic Dancer Tour?
Yeah, Shelley!
That's funny. That's a good story.
Man.
All right, who wins, that or the guy who beat up a guy for farting?
Oh, man.
Oh.
An old man. Hit an old man in the head because he farted.
I feel like,
Oh,
that might be it.
I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Begrudgingly, but I'm going to go with that one.
All right. That will be the fart story that moves on to tomorrow. What is wrong with you? Sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Ryan MoWinkle.com. That's MoHWinkle. Michael Swain joins us next for Jayhawk Weekly. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline is Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Michael joins us every Tuesday here on 580 Sports Talk for Jayhawk Weekly. And Michael, much to discuss, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start on the basketball side. Dama Sarr is a Duke Blue Devil, and Darian Williams is going to North Carolina State. We know in previous discussions that Dama Sarr was very, very close, tantalizingly close to becoming a Kansas Jayhawk, and then that fell through. How close was Darian Williams to being a Kansas Jayhawk before he became a North Carolina State Wolfpack member last week?
Yeah, I think things were pretty close. It's funny how these things work, where it can seem like something's going to happen, and then obviously something else changes. That was the case with Dama Sarr. KU, was in a position to get his commitment, and then Duke swoops in. I don't think that was the same situation with Darian Williams, where NC State was very much in the picture. And what I had heard late last week, or maybe middle last week, guys, the days and it's all blended together. But basically, the gist was NC State's offer was higher than KU's, and it had been higher for a long period of time. And Williams still decided to visit KU before the dip period to kind of, get one last look at it. And I don't think KU had the ability to go north of $3 million like NC State was willing to do. And so as a lot of these recruitments go these days, money talks. And I think also the opportunity for, Darian Williams to be kind of a number one type of guy at NC State was certainly a factor and attractive. That was the reason why he left Texas Tech, was because JT Toppin returned, and that really allowed them to have a star and someone that is going to be the Big 12 preseason player of the year, most likely. So that factors in his decision to leave. Well, then is he going to want to go to KU, where he's going to be, a number two, probably the Robin to Darren Peterson's Batman. And so you put all this together, and, NC State definitely offered a more competitive financial package. And then I think the ability to be one of, if not the face of that team next year, I think was certainly attractive. So for KU now, it's really back to the drawing board. And guys, the well is pretty dry at this point. It's really looking like it's going to be an international player that KU goes and gets. And man, trying to track that info on international players is certainly a challenge.
Is it absolutely certain that they're going to add one more piece, whether that be someone from the international player pool or somebody who is still in the transfer portal? Or might Bill Self and his staff look at their roster and say, okay, this is going to be what we have. We're going to need maybe a little bit more out of some guys, but we can win with this. We can win with what we have.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that. They need one more player. Bill Self has said as much. If they don't get one more, you don't want to write off seasons or make, drawing conclusions in May. But man, it would not look good on paper going into next season with kind of that 8-man rotation that they do, you kind of lay out. So they need one more. Right now you look at the draft and obviously, today's the second to last day where guys can withdraw their name. You're seeing a lot of it happen, right? Uzan is going back to Houston. Condon's going back to Florida. There's money to be made for these guys in college. The question is who are guys that are in the portal that are also going to most likely withdraw. And look, it really is a very small pool. There's RJ Louis from St. John's. I don't see KU getting involved there. I think there are too many red flags from all the people at KU and other colleges and NBA teams have talked to, right? It did not go well for him at the end of the season at St. John's, and there's reason for that, and I think that's turning some people off. And then you get into Jameer Watkins from Florida State. Man, talented player, but is KU going to add another player that has, off-court issues, right? Domestic violence case. That's pretty serious stuff, and I don't know if KU's going to want to get themselves in another position where that's something they get involved with. So, it's just one of those situations where you look at the pool of guys that are in the portal and also in the draft process, man, there's not a lot there. So it leads me to believe that KU is going to go international. And I think that is going to be most likely where they go. And look, there are some talented guys that are going through the draft process right now who might go to college. And that might be the kind of the realm they try and go into. But those guys aren't bound by this date tomorrow, right, the 28th. They get all the way until mid-June to withdraw their name from the NBA draft if they're an international player. So look, there could be a long way to go with this thing. I don't get the sense that there's something imminent, but again, international players, it's just hard to get the feel for it sometimes. So for all we know, I could be totally wrong, and we could wake up tomorrow and there's a commitment, but man, I just don't get the sense that anything's imminent right now.
Michael Swain is our guest. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net and 24/7 Sports. And if you're not a VIP over there, well, you should be. That's how you get all the inside scoops into what's going on with KU before anyone else. Michael also joins us here on 580 Sports Talk every Tuesday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Speaking of the overseas guys, I know the easy comparison, I've already seen a lot of fans do it, is, well, Johnny Furphy came on really late in the process a couple years ago, and look how that worked out. And I think it's fair to say, Michael, that's probably more an exception than the norm, given what he became, how late he jumped on, the way his recruitment blew up late, etc. But are there any guys out there who you've been keeping an eye on? And I know it's an Eastern European guy, it's hard to pronounce their names. But are there any guys out there who you've been paying attention to who could be on KU's radar?
Yeah, it's hard. I think Neoklis Avdalis, I hope I pronounced the last name right, but he's one that, man, I was talking to someone that works kind of in the international space, and I asked straight up, like, who's good? Because it's so hard to tell. Some of these guys are playing, U18 teams. Some guys are playing like Dame Sar was for the pro team. And so Neoklis is the name that came up to me, and basically the guy said, point blank, yeah, Dame Sar is the best international prospect. This guy's the second best. So, he's got some interest from Virginia Tech. He's one of those guys that is going through the draft process. If KU's looking to try and make a splash, that's the type of guy. And right now, KU is very, I can't say limited with the number, but it's a competitive number, but it's not one that I think puts you in the, Darren Williams, Darren Peterson type of money conversation, but they can have a competitive offer. And it comes down to, I think, for someone like an international player, they're going to wonder about the fit. And so I think if KU can convince some of these guys about the fit alongside Darren Peterson, I think you could easily have the package to get one of these guys. So, I'd say, Avdalis is how I'm going to pronounce it. Probably getting it wrong. But I think that's one that's certainly intriguing. There are some other ones out there, but man, the more I kind of ask around, it sounds like there's more just kind of loose links. Like KU reached out to the agent once, like a week or two ago, and there's not been much since. So I think for me right now, the key is kind of trying to track down who is KU actively talking to their agent right now, because those are the guys that means they're really interested in.
I want to know if I'm being too much of a Bill Self homer with this next point, Michael. So feel free to tell me if that's the case. But I've seen so much response from mostly people who are too cowardly to even put their name on their Twitter account, but that's neither here nor there. People were like, this is a reflection of Bill Self, that they couldn't get Dame Sar and they couldn't get Darian Williams and this and that, and the game has passed him by, etc. I personally don't know that I'm willing to go that far, because how does the game pass you by when the game is brand new in town? Like Duke is Duke and is always going to be Duke, and they've got Nike money that Adidas can't match, and frankly, most other Nike schools can't even come close to matching. The Darian Williams thing, well, look, NC State is a new player in this. Will Wade, we know he is not afraid to flash cash around, and, that Andrew Slater hire who used to work, in the media space, that's a big-time deal. That they're a new player to the game. The money that's being thrown around is insane. Do you feel kind of the same way? What I'm getting at here is, I know it doesn't look great in these last couple of weeks, but is that more about Bill Self failing, or is that more about this is still kind of a new realm for everybody, and that means new teams are going to be bigger players?
Okay, this is going to be there are two sides to this, and so I'm going to make a soccer reference here, and this may not make any sense to you guys, but I'm going to do my best to explain it. So Arsenal was one of the best teams in the early 2000s, and they decided to build a new stadium, and that cost a lot of money. And for a long time, they had to operate under a very specific budget. And they went from being a team that, went undefeated for a season in the EPL to one that struggled to finish in the top four. And I think they, and you look at them, they had a manager, Arsene Wenger, who was one of the best ever. Well, I think it's something similar for Kansas basketball right now, where they have had the financial advantage for so long, and they have had the success for so long. But now this new stadium comes in for football, and all of a sudden, the thing that I think has helped KU for a long time, which is the money aspect, it's not the same. NC State has the money to go and pay Darian Williams more. And now look, KU's still going to have probably one of the top 10 to 15 most expensive rosters in college basketball. But over the last 2 previous years, KU has been in the top 3. And so for KU now, it is about trying to, with this last spot, operate with a very specific budget. And so, yeah, you lost a kid to Duke. Duke does not miss on players that they want. They operate in their own realm in terms of financial power they have. That is what it is. And I think if you're playing the brand game, right, you see a guy picks NC State over KU, and yeah, of course the burners are going to go and say, oh, Bill Self is washed. It's like, well, NC State offered more money. And that is a perfectly fine reason to pick another school. You can't blame someone for that. If you get, 10, 15% more from a different job, you're going to take that, right? Those types of raises don't come around very often. So I think for KU right now, this last spot is kind of a challenge because KU has to operate in a very specific window because there's a $750 million football stadium that's being built right now. And a lot of donors have been tapped for money for that stadium. And donors have been tapped as recently as the last couple months for money for that stadium to get phase 2 really up and running. So this is a challenging time for KU. And I think as a result, the basketball program is having to operate a little bit with just a tighter budget here at the back end. Again, Darren Peterson is going to be one of the highest paid college basketball players next year. Make no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Top 5, top 10, most likely. Floyd Badunga is going to make north of $1 million, maybe even north of 1.5, if what I'm hearing is right. So KU is still paying these guys a lot of money. But again, it comes down to the total budget. And right now, this last spot has a very specific number that they can operate within. And so it's just going to come down to who can they find that they can get for that number and not have someone that's got some cash left over to come in and outbid them. So I think that's kind of the issue KU's running into. I don't think it has anything to do with Bill Self, because here's the thing. If KU had another $500,000, Darren Williams would be wearing KU's uniform in those pictures, and we would be having this conversation. But again, $500,000 is a lot of freaking money, and it's hard to come up with that. So as much as, we can all play armchair budget guy and say, oh, just go ask, some donor for $500,000. Like, that's not how this works. So it's a very specific situation KU is in right now, and I don't think it's one that is going to be around for very long, but it's one that is very true for right now.
This is why you should get your source and your info from guys like Michael, real journalists, instead of cowards on Twitter. But again, that's a different story for a different day. A couple more questions from Michael Swain of Fog.net, joining us for Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk. Wanted to pivot over to football real quick, Michael. Corey Amicree, he commits to KU, the number 1 running back in the state of Michigan this past Friday. You were up there to see it. That's a huge, huge get for KU away from Michigan State, Indiana, some other programs. I think Duke was in the mix as well. This is a big-time get for Kansas. What are the Jayhawks getting in Corey Amicree?
Yeah, he's a really good player. Really, really good player. And let's just start here. You're talking about KU going into Michigan, a kid that has been visiting Michigan State double-digit times, and they got him over Michigan State, and Michigan State really wanted him. That shows you, I think, how good of a job the KU staff did. And it comes down to, a relationship Terrence Samuels had with Amicree's family for a long time. And it goes back to when he was a coach, actually, a wide receivers coach at Michigan State. And so that relationship definitely was kind of the baseline from where KU started. But then you still got to recruit the kid, right, and show them that they can have success at KU. And KU just did a really good job with that, on the field. Maybe not the fastest guy in terms of top-end speed, but, man, you get him in a 10-yard area, I think he can be just as quick as anybody. And he's got really, really versatile abilities out of the backfield, right? He can carry the ball, obviously. But what I love about it is the fact that he's played out of the slot. He's played it as a wide receiver. He's a really good route runner, really good pass catcher. I think Devin Neal was a very, very good all-around back. I think the one part of his game that was not really ever unlocked at KU, now maybe that's more of the offense under Jeff Grimes and the way things went, but it didn't feel like he was ever truly a elite pass catcher. I think that's something that Amicree is going to bring to KU, is the fact that he can show up and have those receiving abilities in addition to what he can bring you just as a tailback. So I think for KU, they're in the mix with some really talented running backs. KD Jones went to Oklahoma, Desmond Walker out of the KC Metro. He is someone KU's still going to recruit, but to get someone like Amicree to start things off, I think it's a great start. And now they can kind of go look for the second running back, and they can be picky. They don't like their one. Hey, just keep that spot next fall for the portal and go get yourself kind of another plug-and-play guy like a LaShawn Williams.
Michael Swain covers the Kansas Jayhawks for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Again, if you become a VIP subscriber over 24/7 Sports, you get all of Michael's inside information on all things Jayhawks. Michael, it's always a pleasure to have you on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for Jayhawk Weekly. We'll do it again next week.
Awesome. Sounds great. Talk to you guys next week.
That is Michael Swain. We will step aside for a timeout, come on back, and wrap up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. Our thanks to Michael Swain of Fog.net for joining us for Jayhawk Weekly. Appreciate him checking in as he does every Tuesday with the latest and greatest from Lawrence. This is going to be a very fast segment because we need to take a top of the hour break. So, tell you about what's coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a playoff roundup, much to catch up on from the weekend that was. We'll play our little random question Tuesday. Always look forward to that on a Tuesday. Usually we would do it in the 3 o'clock hour, but we had a jam-packed show today. So moving to the 5 o'clock hour, and we'll preview Royals versus Reds. A couple of former Royals first-rounders, Lynch and Singer, on the bump to start tonight. We'll break it all down. Stay with us one more hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on a Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and thanks for watching. If you're checking us out on our YouTube stream, our channel's name is 580 Sports Talk. You can also watch us on Facebook at WIBW News. Dan, Brendan, Spencer with you. One more hour at 6 o'clock. We'll hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network. Royals and Reds, game 2 of a 3-game series at the K. We'll break it down for you a little bit later on. Royals in a bit of a funk, having lost 3 of their last 4 coming off that series win in San Francisco. Trying to get back on the winning track with a bullpen day today. Daniel Lynch will take the ball first. Old friend Brady Singer on the mound for Cincinnati. 6:40, first pitch tonight at Kauffman Stadium. I haven't seen if they are expecting to get any of this gray and cloudy and rainy weather that we have gotten. My phone tells me there's a quick cursory glance, maybe a 20% chance of rain in Kansas City for first pitch, but should be okay for baseball tonight. We'll have it for you right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Coming up this hour, in addition to talking some Royals baseball, we'll have a round of Random Question Tuesday. We've got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We also want to hear from you. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. You can also interact with us in the comments or the chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. We have the live chat going as you watch the show on our YouTube channel, and you can interact with us and your fellow listeners as we go along here on this final hour of the show.
Good to see everyone. I missed being away from the show for a couple days. Not like enough that I wanted to come back, but I did miss being on the show a little bit.
No, I get it. You have that that little not quite FOMO, but it is weird.
There's news that there definitely is.
Oh yeah, for sure. When there's something like you know that you really want to talk about. Yeah, it is. It's always strange. This is that time of year, where we're in between the NFL draft and training camp. Call it what it is. And this is the time of year a lot of sports talk folks will avail themselves of some vacation time. I've got one coming up in a few weeks. Spencer's got one coming up in a few weeks.
I'm a big late summer vacation guy. Like if I got to pick, I think I'd rather go late in the year.
So that was always what we did growing up. This is not Random Question Tuesday, by the way. You could be forgiven if you thought that's what we were doing right now. But
it was a comment, not a question.
Yes, it was a comment. That's what we used to do when I was a kid because, you had baseball season. Like we played Little League, and you play your games in June, July, and then late July, your Little League season was over. And this is before the days. I missed the window for travel ball, as it's known.
I have a question. Did when you say Little League, do you mean like All-Stars?
I mean Little League. I mean town ball, Arapahoe Little League is what I mean in Aurora, Colorado. I mean Little League. I mean, like everybody had uniforms and
they were sponsored by the local pizza place.
And then if you were good, like I was, you made All-Stars.
Okay, but that was in the summer?
Yes.
When did you play
All-Stars? It was also in the fall.
Little League everywhere I knew it is spring and fall, and then the summer, like right now, is All-Star time where you throughout your district and your area, and then you go to your state tournament by the end of June.
This would have been for me like this time of year, like right at the end of the Little League season. I think we played into the second week of June, maybe.
Yeah, we would play. Yeah, you play just towards the end of the school year, which used to be earlier in May, and then you start your games. Yeah, May, June, and then we're all-star tournaments. I was on the Arapahoe Little League All-Stars, and you play your district tournament. We didn't get any further than that. We lost in districts. We didn't get out to state or
Man, I guess I more think of this because of my last job. Like we used to broadcast that for our area.
That's pretty cool.
So it used to be like the last week of June or the second to last week in June, and then right around 4th of July was districts, and then states was like 2.5 weeks later.
I made an all-star team one year, and man, Hunley making the Pro Bowl. I don't know who did. I must have just been the nicest kid because I did not deserve that one iota. Not one bit.
So yeah, that was when we would always, we'd play, and my brother played, and So I missed that. I missed that whole travel ball thing. My brother ended up like squarely in it. So like he was 10. He got like essentially, I don't want to say recruited, but he made Centennial Little League All-Stars. And then that group of kids, one of their parents was rich. He also ended up being like a legitimate financial criminal, which is a whole other story that maybe I'll tell someday. But like he had a bus, like he had a lot of money and wasn't shy about throwing the money around. And it turned out, he was actually a criminal. He was doing crimes.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
what a thing to find out.
My brother's youth baseball career was founded on crime, the house of lies. Anyway,
who among us?
Yeah. So my brother got to play 40, 50 games a summer. I got my 20. I was happy to have it. I didn't know any better. The travel ball thing was just not like what was cracking in the 90s. Not like that. Like,
yeah, no, I mean that the showcase thing. Right?
Now it's like I saw the other day where like Olathe youth baseball out in Olathe, Kansas, like Olathe youth baseball closing up shop.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's sad.
Yeah, just a youth baseball league. Yeah, we can't do it anymore. We've been around for 70 years. Not enough kids are playing, and the kids who are playing aren't playing with them. So the league is gone.
Yeah,
the little league.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I've seen stories of that. It sucks because it's. We're gonna get off on a whole thing here, but rein me in from getting off on a whole thing. We do this because sports are important and they're important to us, and we're like passionate about it. And we talk about even college sports, pro sports. Certainly, like the goal is to win. You win, like that is what is important. You get to the highest level and you win. All of that. We're talking about 10-year-olds. The goal, and sorry if you're like the participation trophies are actually the devil's work, folks, but like there is legitimate life skill building value in being part of a team and learning a set of skills to help advance your team, whether you're winning or not. Like the idea that I've talked about this with my wife, like what we want for our daughter. Like, I don't care what you do, but I want you to be part of some sort of organization, some sort of team, sport, whatever, because those are important skills to learn for life.
Sure.
So you're not like, I don't know, some like weird cretin who never gets off your computer from the day you're born until the day you go off to college. And then you like commit crimes with crypto online because you don't know how to talk to people. Like that's what you want to avoid. So when you take that stuff away because, all the kids who don't have money aren't able to do it, and the kids who do have money go play showcases, guess we can't do Little League. That screws over so many people in so many ways. And I'm not even getting to baseball dads. You certainly know exactly who I'm talking about.
I was around my share.
Yeah. So it sucks. Like that blows because it screws over the kids and it screws over the things that they deserve to learn about now.
Yeah. It's all about having appropriate expectations and like having, appropriate goals and like a grip on reality, I guess, at the end of the day. Like I certainly think that like I was a competitive kid and I loved to play baseball. I would have eaten up travel ball. I would have loved to have been on a team called like the River Sharks, who played like 100 games a year and went to like the U8 World Championships in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. And oh wait, there are like 7 other World Championship tournaments going on right now, and like 6 of them are also in Colorado mountain towns. Oh, that's weird. But no, I would have eaten that stuff up with a spoon. I would have lapped it up. I would have absolutely loved it. And I feel like maybe it would have made me a better baseball player in the long run. Maybe my brother had some competitive advantages that I didn't get to have. But I also think that you have to have like appropriately calibrated expectations, because whatever your kid gets out of youth sports is what they want to get out of it and what you in the end make of it. Because if you set unrealistic expectations, one summer I coached Legion baseball. I was back in Colorado for a summer and I was coaching Legion baseball, Legion C. So it's the incoming freshman, right? So Legion baseball at a high school in the Denver area where I grew up. And so we had these kids that were on our Legion team, and it's like you're playing with guys you're going to play with in your high school, your varsity seasons, and so on. But these kids are also on their travel teams that they've been on for 3-4 years. And we would have kids tell us, oh yeah, we're missing this game. We got a game scheduled for Saturday in Legion ball, but they're going to miss it because they got to be at this tournament. And I had one kid tell me, we're going to be at this tournament and there are going to be some scouts from the Yankees there. No, there aren't.
No.
You are 14. The Yankees are not sending scouts to watch 14-year-olds unless you are Dominican. They're not doing that.
I was going to say, Here's the great evidence. Are MLB teams scouting you at 14 years old? Are you Juan Soto?
Right.
If the answer is no, then they're probably not going to be there.
So that's the whole thing. It's all about appropriately, calibrating your expectations and making sure that it's still about, at the end of the day, like you said, the skill development, social development, having a good time. And you know what's a good time? Winning. So, I get it. I get that you want to win because it's a hell of a lot more fun to go and win. Because my brother's first year playing that travel ball team, they won 5 games. They lost a lot to teams that had been a part of that system. Now, as they went along, they got better and they understood it. By the time they were done, they were given as good as they got. But it is more fun to win. And I understand all of these things, but I do think that there is that stereotype, and it's a stereotype because it's true, of the hardo youth baseball coach who thinks that, he's got to get his 9-year-olds all major league contracts or he's failed as a youth baseball coach. And by the way, I know how to get you contracts because I know a guy who scouts. Give me $2,000. And that is predatory. And I do think there is a predatory element certainly to youth sports, but that is another topic certainly for another day.
I was probably I was extremely immature in a lot of ways when I was a teenage boy, but when I played a year of travel volleyball, that was my sport growing up, and I loved it. I still to this day love it. But I knew from 1 year, okay, they put me clearly, and I enjoyed it, and I became a better player. And my high school that season that year was a lot of fun because of it, because I had gotten better during the year. But okay, I'm clearly not going pro in this. There was pressure, certainly. I remember playing in tournaments. We played tournaments every weekend pretty much for, 4 months. And there were parents, there were coaches who were losing their minds over stuff man, we're playing boys volleyball. There are 25 Division I men's volleyball programs. That's it. And if you think your kid's going to the Olympics, I hope they're going to UC Santa Barbara or Ohio State. Because if they're not, they're probably not going to the Olympics, man.
Yeah.
So I was in a niche sport. Something that is as massive as baseball in America.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what the intensity of it is like. And sometimes, hey, it's okay if your kid loves baseball, but knows that they're going to go pro in something other than sports and wants to be part of a team and just hang. That's okay. That's totally okay.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with rec ball, so to speak. I played rec basketball and had the best time. And I wasn't tall enough or good enough at basketball to make that a thing. But I treasure those rec ball memories. I only played 8 games a season other than, you play AAU. It was 8 games. That's Saturday.
Yep.
And that's why all of the 20-somethings who make the NBA are suffering catastrophic leg injuries.
Well,
another topic for another day.
Real quick. And I think, too, playing the rec ball when you're not that good, you're literally there for fun.
Yeah. And that's a good thing.
When I was in high school, after or in the 8th grade.
Right. Going into
about to go into high school. And I was like, do I want to play basketball anymore? I know I'm not going to be able to do much basketball. Played rec that year. So fun.
Yeah, there's no pressure. You're hanging out with the boys.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Let's get to some headlines, shall we? We are overdue on some 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll knock out the stories of local collegiate interest first. First, tip of the cap to the Washburn men's tennis team finished as national runners-up after a Saturday defeat at the hands of Valdosta State, the number 1 team in the country in the Division II national championship match. It's the best finish in Washburn men's tennis history. Lost a tight one, 4-2. In the title match to, again, the number 1 ranked team in the country, Valdosta State. Which
I believe had multiple All-Americans.
Yes, they did. They also had my guy Takeshi Tako.
Yes.
So who was good. That's
very good.
Yes.
All-American.
Great name. Also great tennis player.
Yeah.
Tip of the cap to that Washburn program. Everybody involved. Fabulous season and national runner-up honors. From Washburn to KU and K-State. Baseball. The NCAA Tournament pairings were announced, the regionals. K-State and KU both playing on. K-State is the number 3 seed in the Austin Regional. That's the number 2 national seed, Texas, hosting that regional. K-State will take on UTSA. That'll be a Friday, 6 o'clock first pitch. Unfortunately, won't have the broadcast for you here on WIBW because the Royals play Friday night. But that is when K-State will begin regional play, of course. Cats were a 3 seed in their regional last year, pulled a shocker, beat Arkansas, and ended up going to that super regional against Virginia. they'll look to do a similar run, make a similar run this year. K-State, the 3 seed in the Austin Regional. Speaking of Arkansas, the Fayetteville Regionals, well, where KU finds itself.
Stop with Arkansas. I'm so sick of playing the Hogs. Men's basketball, football,
Liberty Bowl,
women's NIT. I'm sick of it. two times for men's basketball in the last 3 years.
Yeah, Arkansas is the number 3 national seed. KU is the 2 seed in that regional. They'll play the number 3 seed, the Creighton Blue Jays. That'll be a 7:00 first pitch on Friday. All of these games will be available on ESPN Plus. You can keep up with the outstanding, what is it called, bases loaded coverage?
I believe so.
The whip around coverage. That's one of my favorite things to watch. And I'm not like college baseball super fan over here, but I love watching bases loaded during the supers,
that's fun.
During the regionals and the supers. It's a good time. So that's when K-State and KU will play. They will both play on Friday, starting the postseason in college baseball. One other college sports note, in the women's golf realm, K-State senior Carla Bernat has been named a first-team All-American by the Women's Golf Coaches Association, adding to a list of honors that includes, of course, the Big 12 Player of the Year and a national placer, tied for 14th at the national tournament, and, of course, the winner of the Augusta National Women's Amateur earlier this season. I bring this up because tomorrow you're going to hear from Carla right here on 580 Sports Talk. I spoke with her earlier today. She was finishing up a practice round at Erin Hills, getting ready for her first career major tournament, the U.S. Women's Open, which tees off on Thursday morning, and bright and early Thursday morning for Carla. She's got the 7:07 tee time.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't like a 7:07 tee time personally. I don't feel like I play very well that early in the morning, but that's when Carla Bernat's going to tee off for her first career major, and I spoke with her just off the practice green today. Gonna bring you that interview tomorrow. So tune in to tomorrow's edition of 580 Sports Talk to hear from All-American, Augusta National Women's Amateur Champion, U.S. Women's Open participant, and K-Stater Carla Bernat. Next headline, Brendan.
All right, let's go from general college sports. Let's narrow it down to college basketball. We'll start with KU. Found out that KU is going to play Princeton in a non-conference game. Any thoughts? Any thoughts? No, not really me either. So now we know that KU is going to play Missouri, North Carolina, UW Green Bay, and Princeton, among others, in their non-conference schedule. I don't know who's in the rotation for Champions Classic this year. Is it Kentucky? Might be Kentucky. Either way, that's the early start to KU's non-conference schedule for college basketball. All right, players who are either leaving the NBA draft or deciding to stay in the draft process. We will start in the Big 12. Milos Uzan is going to return to Houston. He is backing out of the draft process, returning to Houston. I don't think that's a surprise. I don't really see Uzan as an NBA player, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a scout, obviously. He's going to return to Houston. Because of that, Pop Isaacs, the now well-traveled point guard, veteran point guard, he is backed out of a commitment to Houston and has instead signed with Bucky down at Texas A&M. Not Bucky Irving. What's his last name?
Bucky
Samford. No, the coach. What is that? Bucky McMillan. There we go. He wanted to say Bucky Irving. He plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Pop Isaacs going to Texas A&M. I think that's a big-time win for Houston, to be honest with you. Other players who are returning to college basketball, 2 players of note who are returning to their previous schools. Carter Knox at Arkansas. Very talented player. Brother Kevin was at one point a Cal player at Kentucky, went to the NBA, didn't play very well. Is he still in the NBA, Kevin Knox? He kind of sucked once he got there.
He might still be kicking around somewhere.
Might still be hanging out somewhere. Carter Knox,
look it up and tell you. Yeah, he played for the Warriors.
Oh, sure. Carter, really talented player, though. He's heading back to Arkansas for his sophomore year. Alex Condon, big man for the national champion Florida Gators. He is returning to Gainesville with Coach Todd Golden. Meanwhile, the debatably #1 player in the transfer portal this year, Yaxel Lendeborg, who was at UAB this past year, got a big, fat NIL deal from Michigan. So he is pulling his name out of the draft process. He is going to go join Dusty May in Ann Arbor. Sounded like he was probably going to be a top 40 pick. Those are your guaranteed picks once you get into the second round. Thinks he's going to have a good year at Michigan and can be a guaranteed first-round pick. So we'll find out. He is headed to Ann Arbor. One player who is going to stay in the draft and is foregoing a transfer to Duke. Cedric Howard, most recently of Washington State, he's bounced all over the place. He had been, I don't remember where, if it was JUCO or a D2 school, goes to Eastern Washington. From there to Washington State, had a great year. He was probably the most impressive individual at the NBA Scouting Combine, and he probably got a guarantee that he's going to be just inside or just outside the lottery. So he's going to stay in the draft. He passes up on Duke. Duke already knew that. That's why Duke has Domisar,
right?
Who KU was targeting. They knew Cedric Howard was going to stay in.
The headlines were very funny. Coward spurns Duke. Like, wow.
Very funny.
There are going to be a lot of really good coward headlines, I think, over the years. I think we can count on that. All right, give me a headline, Spencer.
Yeah, we'll keep it quick and local here. As Dana likes to call them, the professional sports franchise at Topeka, Kansas, Gary Woodland, came away from the weekend at the Charles Schwab Challenge doing pretty well. After shooting 2 over on Thursday, he combined the final 3 rounds to go 8 under par, finishing tied for 11th, making over 200K this weekend. Not a bad way to finish the weekend for after Thursday, not looking too good.
He's up to 60th in the FedEx Cup standings, and I don't know what he has to be. I think it's more money list than the FedEx Cup, but you have to have a certain standing in there to keep your card. And given the health concerns that Gary Woodland has obviously faced over the last couple of years, and a decline in play last year upon his initial return from that brain surgery, that was in question coming into this year. But he has played well enough. Obviously, had the top 5 finish at the Houston Open. This is another top 20 for him. Starting to find his game, and it certainly seems like he should be able to keep his status on the PGA Tour for 2026, which is a big deal. Just anytime he takes the course as a victory, given everything that he went through. So pretty cool stuff for G-Dub. And good to see him on the leaderboard. Cleaned up pretty nice.
Yeah.
with a T11 at Colonial this weekend. All right, let's get to the playoff roundup to finish up our 580 Sports Talk headlines.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
Our timing on this has gotten exquisite.
Excellent work.
Just in time for like the middle of the conference.
Hey,
finals.
you know what you say? As long as you finish better than you started, it's good.
Do I say that?
No, like people say that.
The general view.
The general view of finishing better than you started is good.
I see where you're coming from. We'll count it. I would allow.
Anyhow, let's start in the NBA. The Oklahoma City Thunder held off the Minnesota Timberwolves in a thriller to take a 3-1 series lead in the Western Conference Finals. I put thriller in quotes because the last minute was a slog. Coach Spreadsheet, Mark Dagnall for the Oklahoma City Thunder, loves to employ the foul up 3 strategy, and it made for a stultifyingly dull final 45 seconds of basketball.
Almost 15 minutes to play 14 seconds last night.
Jeez.
Yeah, absolutely
Also,
horrible.
Hate to bring this into it. Cost me a cover. I had Oklahoma City -2.5. Didn't feel great.
That's why those buildings are so big.
Did not feel great about that one.
Out there in Las Vegas.
It was a great game up until that point. I had a lot of fun watching that game last night.
Some great individual performances. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 40 points in the win for the Thunder. The next Michael Jordan only had 16 in a losing effort. You would have thought the NBA Finals were one of his children, the way he seems bent on avoiding them.
I got nothing.
Yeah, neither does Anthony Edwards.
All right.
Enjoy Cancun, Anthony. Hey, send a video.
I understand you hate him, which is fine. He's a bad guy. There's really, he's a very bad guy. Only 23. Maybe he'll mature. People said that about Tyreek Hill, too.
That's the hope.
There you go. I think that you could argue last night his gravity allowed for guys like Dante DiVincenzo and Nickeil Alexander-Walker to play a lot better, because the Thunder were far more concerned with Anthony Edwards than Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
This is true, but you can't count on Nickeil Alexander-Walker being that kind of a shooter every single night. And if you're going to sit behind the podium after game 1 and say, man, I only took 13 bleeping shots, you got to take more than 13 shots at home in a must-win.
I do agree with that. And they shot, 51% from 3 and lost? I think if I heard the stat correctly, that has happened 55 times before last night from 3 in the NBA playoffs, and the teams won every single time.
That's crazy. Absolutely wild. But
Shea was awesome though.
Yeah,
man.
the Thunder are rounding into form. They do. They look like that they were indeed sharpened by that second round series against Denver, and they look like they're achieving peak form. I think I said after the Denver series, I think they will lose fewer games on their way to the title than they lost in the Denver series.
And Shea was the superstar, and he's the MVP for a reason. Mm-hmm. If Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren play that well, they're not going to lose.
Yeah,
they're just not.
Jalen Williams, that was his first good road game of the playoffs. He had not performed particularly well away from Oklahoma City until last night. He had like 35. He was huge.
By the way, we don't have a lot of time for this, but I like Cason Wallace a lot. That's a good player. Not a star. That's a good basketball player.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of teams who would like to have that as your backup point guard. He's super fast. He defends. Yeah, really good player. Anyway, tonight in the NBA, the Indiana Pacers try to go up 3-1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. That has been a wild series so far. Lots of swings and roundabouts in those games. The one thing you don't want to do, take a 20-point lead. You don't want any part of those.
Nope.
Pacers lead the series 2-1, Game 4 tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis.
Tyrese Halliburton's dad back in the building tonight.
That's true. If he were,
maybe he'll fight Karl Anthony Towns.
If his name were Tyrese, what's his name, John Halliburton. If his name were John Jones, he would have been banned from every NBA arena for life.
Or he'd be a UFC champion.
Or he would, bones.
Or on steroids.
In the NHL, the streak ends at 15. The Carolina Hurricanes have finally won a conference finals game. They avoid a sweep at the hands of the Florida Panthers. They get that series back to Carolina for a Game 5. Florida still leads at 3-1. Tonight, Game 4 in Edmonton. Oilers trying to go up 3-1 on Dallas.
Let's go Oilers, my oil boys.
Yes, you know I love my Oilers.
Oh yeah, I love getting all oiled up watching some hockey.
Right, that's
hashtag let's get oiled up.
That is not the hashtag. I just want to see further proof that Pete DeBoer is a conference finals merchant and that his style of hockey will never see heaven or win a Stanley Cup. That is what I am
parking the bus.
Hate him so much. Anyway, that's your playoff roundup. We're taking a break. Come back with the Random Question Tuesday. As if that segment wasn't random enough for you. Stay tuned. 580 Sports Talk.
Long-term.
5:36 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer. It's Random Question Tuesday time on the show. Usually we do this earlier, but we did Good, Bad, Ugly earlier on the show, so we just moved Random Question Tuesday. Any objections? No, didn't think so.
Nope.
Brendan, how about you go first today? You're back from a long weekend, so I'm going to give you the honors here for Random Question.
All right, this is an audience participation question.
785-272-9429 is the text line. Please note we cannot text back. And you will also hit us up in the YouTube comments as well.
Yes, because all of our favorite teams do not necessarily correspond to the favorite teams of our audience. So mine is sports related. Who is one player in your favorite team's division that right now you would add to your favorite team? It doesn't have to be football, basketball, baseball, whatever favorite team of yours you want to pick. What player from your team's division would you add to your favorite team?
Saquon Barkley.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
For the Commanders,
Upgraded running back 100%.
Oh, yeah.
26-way tie between everyone on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Actually, sorry, 25-way tie. You can keep Chris Stratton. we did not realize, but Chris Stratton is a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's how down bad they are pitching wise.
I thought about going Aiden Hutchinson because Packers need some pass rush, and Aiden Hutchinson is really good. Thought about Jalen Johnson of the Bears going to the Packers because Green Bay could use another cornerback. Mm-hmm. But then I remembered the Pittsburgh Pirates have Paul Skeens. And I would like Paul Skeens because we are getting dangerously close to Dan having to pitch 5 innings for the Cubs.
Uh-oh. I could carry it these next 2 nights. You're playing the Rockies.
Yes. Oh,
I could get you 5 innings against that lineup.
I watched the Rockies when they played the Royals. Okay. Yeah. I have gone out of my way to make sure I don't watch any other Rockies baseball except highlights that I find on social media.
I've done the same thing. I don't blame you.
Brother, every single person involved with that team, from players to coaches to staff, to concessions workers, to the owners, to season ticket holders, you all belong in jail. Every one of you.
Start with the owner.
Well, yes. So I'm going Paul Skeens because the Cubs need pitchers.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of football answers here. We got a text in 785 says Max Crosby.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Paul in the YouTube comments says Patrick Surtain to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Boy, McDuffie and Surtain would be tough to throw on.
Yeah, man, and I like the Chiefs cornerback room already, but Patrick Surtain, Defensive Player of the Year, that's hard to beat.
I don't know that I have one necessarily for the Seahawks. Maybe Trent Williams. They have a good left. Walter Jones.
Yeah.
Hey, you wouldn't take Stafford?
He's pretty old. He's better than Sam Darnold, but so's Kyler Murray and so's Brock Purdy. So.
You wouldn't take Kyler?
I don't know.
You wouldn't take Brock?
No. Couple good baseball answers. Mark in the YouTube comments says Tarek Skubal from the Tigers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And Paul says Ty France to the Royals.
I think Trent, our former intern Trenton Craxner, would agree.
Yeah, he just stash him on the bench. He'd do way less damage.
I'm trying to think. I don't really know who's in every division in the NBA, to be completely honest with you. No sport has divisions matter less than the NBA. Mm-hmm. Probably going, Giannis. Okay, Giannis. Yeah. He's coming to the Bulls anyway. He loves Chicago.
I'll take
Cade Cunningham would be a close second, though. I love Cade.
Yeah, I don't know the divisions very well either, but I think Minnesota and Oklahoma City are in Denver's division. So, I guess Case and Wallace.
Over Shea?
Yes. I don't like watching Shea play, man.
But he wins.
I don't care. I don't like watching him play. I don't want to defend his style of play.
I'm sure you saw the stat.
I don't want to be like, no, him hunting fouls is good, actually. No, I can't do it. I'm an ethical hooper.
The stat that was going around social media today, I think it made it to Blue Sky, that Jokic has never played with anyone who was
made an all-star team,
team, all NBA, or all defense.
Yes, correct.
I think it's crazy.
He's only played with 2 all-stars. Period. Russell Westbrook and DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, Murray's never made it.
No,
hurt all the time. Yeah,
got a ring though.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that I gave the Packer answers. Yeah, I think that's where I would stick.
Have you got a random question today, Spencer?
Yes, I do.
Cool.
In light of the moisture coming out of the clouds the entirety of the weekend.
We occasionally refer to that as rain.
That is also known as rain.
Saves us words, yes.
What is your favorite thing to do during a rainy day? Where it washes out your whole plants.
I'm sorry you talked over that. That was a funny answer.
Suffer through seasonal affective disorder.
Rainy day theater. Watch the Andy Griffith Show instead of the baseball game that gets rained out.
Okay.
Yeah, watch Leave It to Beaver.
Oh man,
That's
Watching
way
WGN,
before your
man.
time.
I know what Leave It to Beaver is. I know what the Andy Griffith Show is.
But yeah, you don't remember Rain Delay Theater.
You know who's a big fan of the Andy Griffith Show? Our friend Rick Peterson. Also, Lauren Ferre.
How about that?
AD of Washburn.
Would not have guessed that.
Favorite thing to do on a rainy day?
Yeah, like when you you wanted to go do something, you had plans, but the rain stopped your plans. What's your favorite thing to go do instead?
Favorite thing to go
have
do.
a submission for
to do
bowling
instead.
from the
Yeah, I was going to
785.
say bowl. Yeah, I'd go bowling.
Okay.
That's absolutely what I would do.
Yeah, I have forgotten what it was like. I've been a parent too long.
Yeah,
so
hang with
I've-
my kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've forgotten what it's like to have any social life that isn't just like playing with my son. A request from Mark in the YouTube comments for Brendan to stop whistling.
I'm a good whistler. It doesn't really come through on a microphone.
No, it's
though.
hard. It's hard on a
Yeah.
microphone.
That's not it.
It's hard to do it under pressure on a
Especially with
microphone.
like a studio mic. Yeah.
I don't have one, but we have a text from the 785 who asked if any of us get pedicures, and if so, where.
Nope.
I have never gotten a pedicure, but my wife goes to Happy Nails there on Wanamaker next to it's by Men's Warehouse.
Yeah.
She goes to Happy Nails, and she seems to like it there. So there's a recommendation for you, for whatever that's worth.
Lorena is where my wife goes. In fact, she's going in the next week or two for her Mother's Day gift.
Yes,
She's going to get a
I
pedicure.
also got my wife a pedicure for her Mother's Day gift.
So I've got a couple friends. In fact, my best friend has done it before. He's like, man, it feels great. My wife, I think, would be over the moon if I said, yes, I will go with you. Here's the problem. You're not touching my feet. Sorry. I don't care if you have the most magical fingers on earth. You're not touching my feet.
Is this you're weird about your feet, or
I don't want anyone.
weird is not a fair thing to say, but you're
I
picky.
don't want people touching my feet. I don't want to really be touched, like, period. If you're like my friend or my wife, obviously, like, okay, yeah, a hug, a handshake.
I don't think I've ever given you a hug.
No, we're not. We don't have that kind of friendship. It is like handshake, sure. The forearm handshake, now that is friggin' masculine. Love doing that. Grab the dude's forearm, staring him right in the eye. That's how you know, like, oh yeah, that's a masculine handshake.
I will
but don't touch
say-
my feet.
I will say about the text from the 785 about where do you go? One of my buddies from college, he sent me a Snapchat last week and he goes, dude, this will change your life. And it was him getting a pedicure.
I've heard the same. It's not like any.
And I said, I'm taking your man card away. And he goes, no, it will legit change your life.
Yeah, I'm not pulling any of that like Tim Allen from Home Improvement 1993 nonsense. Oh, I'm too masculine to get a pedicure. I'm too masculine to have somebody massage my feet. Like, I'm not doing that. Like,
I still have people touching my feet.
I'm open to it. I'm open to the experience, but it's not something that I've done.
No, as soon as it
Happy
feels-
Nails got hella TVs though. If I was going, I'd go with my wife.
As soon as I feel a slight tickle, I'm out. I'm no.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Me too.
Put some big heavy wool socks on. I'm done.
I
Don't
got
like me being
great
touched.
feet though. Like I got terrible nails, but I got
Hey-o.
great feet. I got soft feet. Honest to goodness, I think
580 feet talk.
I could make some money. I think I just throwing that out there. I think
Wiki
I
feet?
think I could make some money on the internet with my feet. I got great feet. We're gonna take a time out.
You ever been to
On
Wiki
that
Feet?
note-
Not a moment too soon. We're gonna talk Royals baseball after this. Baking, another thing to do on a rainy day. Thanks to that text from the 785.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
I cook. I like to cook. I haven't really gotten into like baking. I don't do like a lot of like cookies, pastries. I like to eat them, but I have not like sat down like I'm going to make like a sheet of cookies. Like I cook dinner. When we have dinner at home, it's me cooking.
Mm-hmm.
But baking, I have not yet. I don't want to say mastered because that would suggest that I'd ever really tried it. I haven't really.
I like to bake. I don't do a whole, like, I'm not doing anything extreme by any means, but, pan of brownies, thing of cookies. I enjoy doing it.
Made tostadas last night for dinner. That's what we did. Having the leftovers tonight.
My wife's a better cook than me, but steak and sometimes fish, that's my domain.
I'm a burgers and steak guy.
I wish
I wish we had a grill, but it can't have one of those at our complex.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
It took me until I owned a home to have a grill, and the Foreman grill can only go so far.
We have one. We have a classic Weber charcoal grill, but I need to get the deck stained and done first before I bring out more things to set up on the deck.
Yeah, we got to get our deck stained too. We got to get the pool clean. Holy moly, we got the tarp off this weekend. That should have been my ugly. It was a tough winter for the pool. So we gotta get that sucker cleaned up.
You have to call your pool guys again.
A lot of chemicals. Got to put a lot of chemicals in the pool before it's suitable for swimming. Right now, it looks like something RFK Jr. would jump in and tell us was fine. That's what it looks like right now. Royals baseball tonight on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. 6:40 first pitch, which means a 6 o'clock pregame. So when we're done, we'll hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network. Royals need a dub. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Have slipped to 29-26 on the season. They are a full game now behind Cleveland and Minnesota, 2 back in the loss column of both the Guardians and the Twins in the American League Central. Both the Guardians and the Twins 29-24, Royals at 29-26 going into tonight. It's a bullpen day, and those are always iffy, but it seemed to bring the best out of the Royals offensively the last time they had one, that Wednesday afternoon win over San Francisco when they teed off on Logan Webb. And that wasn't a game where they were, necessarily swinging for the fences. Salvador Perez did homer in that game. It was a lot of singles. It was a lot of back through the box. It was a lot of real simplistic approach and knowing, hey, we got to build innings. We got to find ways to score runs because in bullpen game, you're probably not counting on a 1 or a 2 run performance from your pitching staff. You're going to have to score to win tonight. And so we'll see if that approach carries over. And I think that would be a good approach to have carry over if you were facing like a sinker ball pitcher, for example, somebody who lives in the zone with their fastball, but it's got some action to it. So you're better served trying to take the ball the other way. Oh, what luck. The Royals are facing Brady Singer tonight.
I have nothing against Brady Singer, but man, I hope the Royals just freaking tee off on
him.
It would be in tracking with the recent run of form for Brady Singer, who got off to a pretty good start this season, but his May has been difficult, carrying an ERA that looks like an aircraft carrier, 7.85 through 4 May starts after a 3.24 ERA in his first 6 starts of the season. The strikeouts have gone backwards. The walks have ticked up this month. It's been a very, very rough month of May for the new Red Brady Singer. He got a nice hand. They did a little video tribute for him yesterday. He got a nice hand. And tonight will be about trying to beat him. And the Royals do. I mean, Cleveland continues to play well. Minnesota continues to play well. Obviously, Detroit's got the best record in the American League. You got to keep pace. And right now, the Royals have struggled to do that outside of that one real hot streak where they benefited from catching the Rockies and the White Sox. So they've got to keep pace here because the field is coming back to them a little bit right now. If you go to Baseball Reference, the Royals are now down at 40.5% playoff odds, where they were at 75, I think, like 3 weeks ago. Now their playoff odds fluctuate more than like the Fangraphs playoff odds, but it would behoove the Royals to find some form, find some consistency, and get rolling against an old friend in Brady Singer tonight. The lineup that will face Singer, it's familiar at the top. It's Jonathan India leading off. He'll DH tonight. Bobby Witt Jr. is at short. Vinny Pasquantino's at first. Salvador Perez is catching. Michael Garcia is the third baseman. Drew Waters gets bumped up to the 6th hole. He's in left field tonight. Swinging the bat well last handful of games. Had a good series in Minnesota. John Rave gets his second big league start. He's in right field tonight, batting 7th. Michael Massey will bat 8th at second base. And Kyle Isbell bats 9th, as the Royals are kind of stacking the lefties at the bottom of the order against a pitcher who's had his share of difficulties with them over the course of his career. For the Reds tonight against the Royals bullpen game, which it'll be Daniel Lynch first, the lefty for as many outs as he can get, and then probably Jonathan Bolin backing him, just like it was last Wednesday in San Francisco. TJ Friedel's in center field, then Santiago Espinal at third, Ellie De La Cruz at short, and Austin Hayes in left field. Tyler Stevenson, who homered yesterday, is the DH. Spencer Steer at first, Gavin Lux at second, Jose Trevino is the catcher, Will Benson is the right fielder batting 9th, and Lux and Benson both left-handed, the lefties towards the bottom of the order, the idea that maybe they get to face Bolin the first time they come to the plate tonight. Royals get it done?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, too. I think they got something for Brady Singer tonight. And
they better.
Yeah. They need to win. They got to find a way to win these series, especially when they're at home. They've been really good at home this season, and I would expect that run of form to bounce back tonight. We'll take a timeout, come back, and we will wrap up this edition of 580 Sports Talk with a final word. Let's wrap up 580 Sports Talk for the day with a final word. Brendan Dworzinski.
Final word for me today is that I'm really not nearly as concerned about KU's roster going forward as a lot of people are. Does Kansas still need another player? If we're talking basketball here. Yeah, Bill Self said so himself, and I'm not going to doubt him here. But also, I think the folks who are freaking out about Bill Self's lost his touch or whatever, take a step back and realize everything is different in college sports with the transfer portal, NIL, revenue sharing, contract, all of this stuff, buyouts at this point. Just because NC State won one battle, Duke won a battle. Wow, Duke won a recruiting battle. Amazing. Doesn't mean the sky is falling.
Spencer Dupuis, final word.
Yeah, I wasn't here in the first segment of the show talking about the Royals, but John Rave gets the call yesterday, and it was kind of a secret to who it was going to be, and people on X, on Twitter, on Blue Sky, they're kind of freaking out like, is it Caglione? Is it Caglione? No, he's not coming up just because he's killing it. And he spoke to the media today. A lot of the Kansas City media went up to Omaha for their his home opener up there. And he said JJ Picola and Matt Cotrero have been frank with him. They have a plan, so they're going to stick to their plan. And just because he's hot hitting through the first week of his career doesn't mean that he needs to come up right away.
Final word for me. It's nice to have something to be excited about for K-State men's basketball. Their transfer portal class had been intriguing at best, but they were lacking a dude. Not anymore. They've got one in PJ Haggerty. He is the kind of player that raises your floor. When you have a player who is that good, who is capable of scoring at a high level, who can get you a bucket and be an alpha dog, that makes you feel much more like an NCAA tournament team. And now, if players like David Castillo or Andre Kostic are better than expected this year, that raises the ceiling. That's going to do it for 580 Sports Talk today. Royals baseball coming up next. We're back tomorrow from 3 to 6. For Brendan and Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Adios.